We never know where life will lead us or what may hinder us along the way. But while every day can feel like one big question mark, it doesn't have to. With the right insights, strategies, and solutions from Western and Southern Financial Group, together we can look ahead to leave the unknown behind.
I mean, what's Pro Football Focus doing? Last week they had Brady. This week they got Brady.
We're literally doing it differently from everybody else.
As a matter of fact, moving forward from this point on, I will not make reference to PFF.
Ready to get into it?
Yeah.
All right. We're going team by team.
I would be very careful about slinging stones.
Am I going to get sued?
We got legal on this?
I like football season, all the things that go with it.
Welcome into the PFF NFL podcast. Steve Palazzolo, Sam Monson. Happy draft week, everybody. We're live Monday morning on YouTube.
We are.
Real draft week
It's
right
the
now.
week. The week of the draft.
It's all happening. The buzz is real. Players are moving. The market's changing. The market is changing, Sam.
The market's changing.
Yes, there's different predictions for where players are going to go. It's official.
Wild.
Peter King has his mock draft out. It's all happening.
It's getting wild.
You know it's draft week.
I've been tapping into my two sources within the NFL.
Yeah, and I tap into my sources too, and because people know who they are, I try not to reveal.
I mean, they're not a tremendous wealth of information right now.
Yeah.
They generally see things in a similar way.
I have more than two.
In a similar way to us, but they don't have a lot of information in terms of what's happening.
I did talk to a prominent offensive coordinator this week, and he said, quote, "I have no idea what my GM's going to do," end quote.
Great. Perfect.
So just want to drop that out there.
I mean, that sounds useless in terms of information, and yet I've seen similar things put out there by like real insiders.
Oh no, there's insiders like, "Hey man, I've been talking to everybody, got no idea what's going to happen." It's like, well, your job's to be on the inside. And
it's like, at some point, I need an editor here, right? Your job is to sort of curate the information that I need to know. I don't need to know that you can't find information. Like, that's the part that you leave on the cutting room floor and just provide me the useful information. Like, hey guys, just tapped into my source and I got nothing. Now, I've just said this having done just exactly that 35 seconds
We're
ago.
not insiders. We're having fun.
But we're not insiders. We're just shooting the shit on a Monday morning.
So here's what we want to do. We got a big week. I want to lay out the big week. Okay. Today, it is Mock Draft Monday, and we're going to give some love to the second round. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through the new market odds. We're going to kind of fly through the first round. You guys have heard us talk about the first round forever. We're going to talk about the first round again tomorrow with Chris Collinsworth. Chris is going to be on here revealing his mock draft.
Well, Chris is actually going to provide some information as, a man that has more sources than we do.
Yeah,
collectively, you can count all of our sources one hand, or do you take it to two?
Oh, I got two hands.
Okay, two hands.
Yeah.
I think Chris has more than that. The man talks to owners and things.
Yeah, Chris is always interesting because he brings a different viewpoint than us. So if you're sick of us, pounding the table for the same stuff over and over, Chris will give us a different viewpoint, even though he's the owner at PFF. He's got his own thoughts, of course. So we've got Chris on the show tomorrow. And then PFF is going to be live covering the draft nonstop, Thursday through Saturday, and a recap show on Sunday. So Thursday night, 7:45 Eastern time on this YouTube channel. So hit the subscribe button if you haven't done it already. Hit the bell so you get the reminder. Sam and I, we're both going to be live with Trevor Sikkema and the boss, Chris Collinsworth. We're all going to be live Thursday night. Friday night, we'll be back for rounds 2 and 3. And then we're going to be there not you and I, but people are going to be here all day on Saturday. And then the recap podcast start. We're going to start recapping division by division. Every team gets some love in grading the draft. So that's this week right here on the YouTube channel.
And don't forget the first round reaction podcast, which will go immediately after first round concludes.
So we're going to have it set up so that you will get the PFF NFL podcast instantly right after round 1 completes.
Yep.
You're going to see it. We're going to be right here just like getting set up. We'll just be talking as we set up and kick Chris out and kick Trev out. We're going to get them out of here.
Yep.
And we're going to go live immediately, so don't leave.
Yep.
We are the place to recap the draft. Got all that?
Got it.
Seth will be in. Yeah, Drew. Seth will be in Friday and Saturday. Seth Galina is coming in. Anthony Tresh is making an appearance for day 3. We're bringing in the closer. So we have all sorts of good stuff coming up this week. So why don't you get the odds going? I want to talk a little bit about what has changed this weekend.
Okay.
But first, the PFF NFL podcast is sponsored by Western and Southern Financial Group. While you focus on your roster moves, Western and Southern helps advance your money moves. Buying your first home, planning to start a family, wondering how to make your money grow? Well, Western and Southern's playbook of life insurance, investment, and retirement solutions helps you rest assured on game day. Team up to understand needs and address goals with a game plan built just for you. Get started at westernsouthern.com/PFF. One last thing before we get into it. I have been in this retro draft mode. I've gone back and watched 01, 05, and I watched an abbreviated 2008, 2011 NFL draft. Background noise while I'm watching prospects and all that stuff. They are fun. And so there was a guy that emailed us who I misrepresented what he said.
You did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said that he was calling us out for the knowledge. He's actually just intrigued by this stuff. He likes this. This could be some fun off-season content. I don't know if people would be interested in us going back and reliving the 08 draft and the 11 draft. Some of the takes at the time, the analysis. I think the most interesting thing is when a team was going to trade up. Schefter was on NFL Network back then. And he's like, look, the Bengals were trading up to go get Cedric Ellis. This was happening. And then the Saints took him instead. Or, things that would have changed the course of history. Mayock was really good on TV back then. He was a
awesome.
Fun personality.
He was. Mayock was an amazing draft guy before they spread him too thin. They had him doing every TV show known to man. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, Mayock doesn't actually have time to watch prospects anymore. And you could see that. You could see the impact that had on his work. But yeah, early Mayock, when he was first thrown in there as the draft guy, was awesome.
It was. So that could be some fun. I've been tweeting it out a little bit, but that could be some fun off-season content. # let us know if that's something you'd want us to do. Go back and relive the glory days of the NFL. We're in the glory days, really. But okay. So this weekend, do you want to just go through all the odds and we'll do our first round mock and we'll hit the...
So the odds get us through 10. We can get through 10 picks with the odds. We want to fly through generally the first round because, we've done a lot of these so far. So we can get rid of the first round to get into the second round where we haven't really talked that much. So let's basically give the top 10 according to the most likely player to be drafted there according to the current betting odds. So number 1 is Bryce Young, which is becoming the consensus it's happening pick.
Okay, Bryce Young to the Carolina Panthers.
Yes, which is exactly, PFF Mike, the late Mike Renner now.
Rest in peace.
Right. He called this back on the show, at the Combine, was like, look, we're going to do this whole song and dance, and then eventually people are going to come back to the idea that, look, size be damned, Bryce Young has by far the best tape of any of these guys, and that appears to be the way it's going. So Bryce Young, number 1. Will Levis has now become the favorite for the number 2 overall pick. So we're going to give him to the Houston Texans, even though there's a reasonably large chance that favorite tag is actually sending him somewhere else because somebody's going to trade to number 2.
Yeah, I think so. The two things that happened this weekend were Will Levis became the favorite at number 2.
Yeah.
And Tyree Wilson, edge defender from Texas Tech, became the favorite defensive player off the board.
And that will now be that's the number 3 pick because he's the favorite for number 3.
I'm reading Tyree Wilson as all the smoke around Houston maybe trading out of 2 could be them picking Tyree Wilson. Like those two could have gone hand in hand. Or is it Arizona? Somebody's going to trade up for Levis, and then Arizona just loves Tyree Wilson. Either way, in our mock draft for this, we're going to put Levis at 2.
Yep.
And then Tyree Wilson
at 3.
Mm-hmm.
Now, technically,
we've shaken up the draft board here.
Yeah, technically speaking, Tyree Wilson and C.J. Stroud are tied for the best odds at number 3, but Arizona, I don't think, is picking a quarterback. Therefore, we'll give them Tyree Wilson.
So we'll give the Colts will get C.J. Stroud?
Yes, on the basis that technically speaking, Will Levis is also the favorite for the 4th overall pick that we've already given him. So, yes, that means
Stroud goes 4 to the Colts.
Who edges out Anthony Richardson, plus 2 to end, plus 300. Where does that leave us? Number
Seattle's
5.
Up on the clock.
Will Anderson is the favorite for this pick.
Yeah, so if Tyree Wilson is off the board, Will Anderson goes 5 to the Seattle Seahawks. Again, we're just rushing through the first round because we want to analyze the second round here.
He's favored even with, Tyree Wilson is in this list as well, so he's favored there and significantly over Jalen Carter. So, yeah, Will Anderson, number 5. Number 6, Devin Witherspoon, by a distance, actually.
Love that.
First corner off the board to Detroit. Number 7,
Raiders.
Christian Gonzalez.
Okay.
C.J. Stroud is in this list as well, and presumably that's more of a reflection on still the disbelief that Stroud would make it this far, but that's happening. Number 8. You know who this is?
Bijan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bijan Robinson.
There's a lot of
8.
smoke around Bijan Robinson going number 8 to the Atlanta Falcons.
Number 9.
Where did he land on our new board?
Wow. 9 is interesting.
We've reshaken the board. I mean, the board has been...
Yeah, we're going to have to do some remedial work once we get to the next
Bijan's
picks.
right there.
Number 9. Guess who this is?
Paris Johnson.
No. Now, there is a tackle tied for the lead, but it is not Paris Johnson.
Broderick Jones?
Nope.
Skaronski?
No.
He's not a tackle. Oh, Darnell Wright.
Yes. Darnell Wright and Jalen Carter are tied plus 300 for this, which is just a bit above Peter Skaronski.
So Jalen Carter's still not there. He's still not off the board.
Well, he could be now. We send him.
Darnell Wright, so what do you want to do at 9?
Jalen Carter makes more sense than Darnell Wright. Let's do that.
Jalen Carter, you want to do it?
Yes.
9 to the Chicago Bears.
Yes.
10, Eagles are on the clock.
That one is Peter Skaronski.
Okay.
Love that. God damn.
All right, so here's your top 10.
Yep.
Remember, it's a quick mock for the first round, and it's based off basically the odds with no trades.
Yep.
Bryce Young, number 1 to the Carolina Panthers. QB Will Levis to the Houston Texans at 2. Number 3, Cardinals take Tyree Wilson, edge defender out of Texas Tech. Number 4, the Colts take C.J. Stroud, QB, Ohio State. Seahawks at 5 take Will Anderson, the edge out of Alabama. Lions take Illinois cornerback Devin Witherspoon at 6. Raiders take Oregon cornerback Christian Gonzalez at 7. Falcons take Texas running back Bijan Robinson at 8. And then the Bears at 9, they get the falling Jalen Carter, defensive tackle out of Georgia. And then the Eagles at 10 get Peter Skaronski, the tackle/guard out of Northwestern.
Yeah, and if you are using the PFF mock draft sim, you're going to notice that the big board has been updated since the late Michael Renner.
That's what I keep saying. We got some other takes in there. Where did McKee fall?
Yeah.
There was a little bug in the system here. Did we fix the bug where a couple players were lower than they should have been? I hope.
It's hard to tell.
Just make sure we don't forget about like Keon White. Oh, no, he's back. He's back. He's there. Looks good. Okay. Titans are on the clock at 11.
So where does that put us? Titans at 11.
Yeah.
I need to update. I actually need to fill in my own board so I can follow this along.
So what do we want to do with the Titans? Do we want to give them Anthony Richardson? He's still on the board here.
That would be fascinating. Yeah, I mean, we can give him top wide receiver off the board. We can give him Anthony Richardson. We can give him
Jackson Smith and
defensive
Jigba's at
lineman.
the top there. Let's just go quick. Just make a
Richardson.
All right, Anthony Richardson's going to go 11 to the Tennessee Titans. Texans back on the clock at 12. They already took Will Levis.
Yeah.
Man, I love Jackson Smith and Jigba there.
Yeah, let's
For
do
them.
that.
Smith and Jigba to the Texans. The Jets give him the top tackle, Paris Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
Paris Johnson, tackle to the Jets. Patriots on the clock at 14.
Could do anything. It's the Patriots.
Deontay Banks. I like
Deontay
Deontay Banks for them. We've
Sure.
given him Joey Porter a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Joey Porter?
I
Joey
just
Porter.
gave him Deontay Banks, so you have to do that.
So I have to do that. I'll
Yeah.
give him Banks. That's how this works.
Well, yeah, if you're going to say the name and then make me click on the button, now you're locked into it.
Packers at 15. I know what you want here.
Hell yeah.
Kincaid?
You want to do something different? Since
Yeah,
you're giving
let's
him
mix,
Kincaid
let's
every
mix it
pick?
up. Give him one of the edges. Nolan Smith, Miles Murphy, Broderick Jones. No, did they want to tackle? Did they want to tackle that high? Broderick Jones or Darnell Wright?
I mean, edge rusher makes a lot of sense, right?
Nolan Smith or Miles Murphy?
Miles
Or
Murphy.
Lucas Van Ness?
Or Lucas Van Ness. I mean, they already have Rashawn Gary. Nolan Smith brings something different. Miles Murphy's a little bit, not redundant. It's not like you can't fit two guys similar into the same
Nolan Smith.
system. But, yeah,
Nolan Smith goes to the Packers at 15. Washington's up at 16.
I would give him a tackle.
All the fans want tackles. Broderick Jones?
Sure.
Broderick Jones goes to Washington at 16. Steelers, they want a tackle as well. At 17, do they get Darnell Wright? Also corner.
Joey Porter.
Joey Porter Jr. Yeah?
Yeah.
To
Joey
Pittsburgh.
Porter.
Joey Porter Jr. going to Pittsburgh. Lions up at 18 here.
Kalijah Cansey to the Lions.
Yeah.
Let's do
Kalijah
it.
Cansey going to the Lions to go with Devin Witherspoon. Bucks are on the clock at 19. They could use edge help. They could go Miles Murphy. They could go Darnell Wright. I think Peter King just had Darnell Wright.
I like Miles Murphy to the Bucks.
All right, Miles Murphy goes to the Bucks. Seattle's up at 20. They just went Zay Flowers in someone's mock.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan Addison's on the board. What would you rather do?
I mean, Kincaid makes a lot of sense for Seahawks. Or the wide receivers. I mean,
I could see the wide receivers going. What about Zay? Then we won't have to pick Zay in the second round if we put him in the first round.
I don't want him in the first round.
Oh, okay. You don't want him in the first round.
I mean, I didn't.
Does Seattle go? What did they go? Will Anderson? There's more edges that they can pick as well.
Uh-huh.
What do you want? Do you want to do Kincaid? I don't care.
I pick Kincaid or one of the wide receivers.
Kincaid or Addison? Kincaid's the top guy on our board.
Done.
PFF board. Kincaid. Dolphins forfeit. Chargers up on the clock. Mm-hmm. Do they get one of the receivers? Addison or Zay? Well done.
Just after mocking you for dying, I went and did it.
Wow, is that your second one?
Yeah.
Podcast history?
Uh-huh. Mark it down. I mean, Addison makes a lot of sense. Quentin Johnston in that offense makes some sense, like relative to other people.
Quentin Johnston, huh?
Yeah.
I'll do it. Chargers. Quentin Johnston, 21.
Okay.
Ravens up at 22. Hendon Hooker?
Oh, God, stop it. Hendon Hooker.
Just saying. Are we going to have, in our mock, is Hendon Hooker going to go in the second?
We're going to find out, aren't we? We won't know until we get there.
For all of the players that were probably second or third rounders who have been mentioned in the first, starting to see his name. I'm seeing his name in mock drafts above Anthony Richardson, right? For a while, we thought it was a big four. But there's a lot of people ranking Hooker as a top 3 quarterback and then also mock drafting him ahead of the big four. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Ravens and Vikings have been linked to Hooker quite a bit.
The general consensus appears to be centering on this draft that, like, nobody really has any idea what's going to happen beyond number one. Like, everyone's pretty certain that number one, it's going to be Bryce Young to Carolina. But after that, it's like all bets are off.
Then it's a mess.
It's largely because, like, nobody loves anybody at the top of this draft. You know, we talked all the time, there's only a couple of blue chip guys and, you know, there's something wrong with most of them. Like, either they play a running back or they got arrested or they're, for some reason, we're souring on Will Anderson now. Like, nobody loves anybody in this draft class. So it's chaos. And consequently, you're seeing a whole bunch more things this year where it's like, I can't really understand how you get there, you know?
Yeah.
Like, a lot of years you see, okay, I get that. That makes some sense. It's a difference of opinion. Sure. This year, I think you're seeing more and more out there takes of, like, I cannot even see how you've arrived at that conclusion.
So I think because the draft's not good.
I know that.
I think that's why.
But even with that, it's like...
It's going to be a great draft, though. It's going to be a great draft.
You know, again, there's a lot of differences of opinion, and we have them relative to other people, so you can't throw too many stones from our glass house. But
of course,
there do appear to be a lot of calls where it's like, I can't even get to where you've got to logically.
This is the fastest mock draft we've ever done.
So
we should just do them all like this.
But we are torpedoing it with this discussion.
Ravens at 22. Do we give them a QB or just business as usual?
You can't give them a QB. They still have Lamar. You can't, like, preemptively give them a quarterback on the off chance they might get rid of him.
Who do you want to give them?
This isn't a great spot for them.
Well, the way this board has fallen, do they go back to the edge well with Lucas Van Ness, inside-outside type of threat? Will McDonald, your guy.
Oh, I love that guy.
Cyrus Torrance could fit as power guard. Do they still want more receivers?
I'm kind of tapping out on this one. I don't have a good answer. What have you got? What do you want to do?
How about Van Ness?
Sure.
They like to just stock up on edges.
Right.
Lucas Van Ness going to the Baltimore Ravens. Vikings up at 23. Where are they going?
I mean, they go anywhere in defense or Jordan Addison.
Oh, yeah, you like Addison a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Go Addison.
Done.
Addison to the Vikings. Jaguars at 24.
Brian Branch?
It seems like the Jags Branch has just been falling to them in a bunch of mocks. I'll tell you the guy that I kind of like for them after you maybe opened my eyes to him a little bit more is Will McDonald.
See, you're coming around.
I like Will McDonald anyway.
You know.
I got the I'll be drafting off of this though, my
laminated
Hori board. We're making a few more tweaks. We're going to reprint this.
Tell people what this was. I know we told Mike and Austin when they were there. This is a consensus board powered Hori board that is a model powered go no go whether you should draft them.
Yeah,
it's fascinating.
I'll be on that. That's a go.
And this is laminated yourself. You personally laminated this.
Not personally. My wife did it. Kelly.
You as a family personally.
We laminate stuff.
This.
Yes, we have a laminator. I said, honey,
it's great.
I need both sides.
You need a dry erase marker that you can write some notes on the bottom within the white spaces.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out what's the best marker to write on laminate. It's just dry erase.
I think. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll bring that.
I mean, you
I'll
can
bring
do it
that
with a permanent marker, but that commits you a little bit more to your notes.
It doesn't stay permanent. It wipes. So I'll get the
really even like you can get proper ones that'll write on laminate.
Okay,
stuff.
I got to find the right thing to write on. But yeah, this is my board.
Yeah.
And this is how I would draft Sam. I think this is the secret to drafting. So you have to have an idea of where people are going to go.
Yeah.
There are going to be some like blues. Blues are like 90th percentile or better. There are going to be some blues in round 6 or 7. It doesn't mean you take them in round 1. It means when you get to that point in the draft, these are the handful of players.
And you also
you
need to be acutely aware of the asterisk people where they are because of an absence or a lack of data.
I got it. I made. We're still making tweaks. I'll give you the final copy.
I do like, though, that like at certain positions, like you get to safety, and it basically says there's one guy worth drafting. He's in the 6th round. I like that.
Yes.
I think that accurately reflects the draft in some positions.
I just got him in my Rams mock draft.
Yeah,
Kayvon
great.
Merriweather from Iowa.
Anyway, pick number 24, Jags. Where are they going?
Brian Branch
Yes.
or
Done.
Will McDonald?
Brian Branch. Done.
All right,
I
Brian
reflected.
Branch to the Jags. Giants at 25.
I saw, so number 1, we have John Michael Schmitz has soared up the rankings since we added our take to the Mike
He's
Renner
up to 35 on the
draft
PFF
board.
draft board.
Number 2, the New York Giants Twitter account put out a, who should we draft tweet with 4 options, and John Michael Schmitz was one of them. So the official Giants account, maybe taking our lead,
Do we want to do it?
has put John Michael Schmitz there. I mean, I still like it as an option for them. Like, what else do you want to do? They could go wide receiver, although we're down
They've
to.
been linked to Zay.
It would be Zay at this point.
I'm okay with Zay going in the first. Just because I think it's going to happen, and so we're trying to have a realistic
I don't
round
know
one.
that it is, though. I think. I mean, he's weird. Like, it only takes one, and there's enough people that have him as wide receiver 1 that it could definitely happen. I have also spoken to NFL people who say I don't get the Zay Flowers thing. So,
Oh, look at you.
who
Spoken
knows?
to NFL people.
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to do John Michael Schmitz?
I mean, we could go Zay. You want to go Zay?
Sure.
Fine. Done.
Zay Flowers. Where is he?
Give them all of the gimmick receivers.
Zay Flowers.
26.
Pick 25 to the Giants. Cowboys been linked to, this could be Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah.
It could be Michael Mayer, who they've been linked to quite a bit.
Yes, Michael Mayer. Give him
Michael Mayer.
Jason Witten 2.0 to go.
Perfect. The Bills at pick 27. Do they want to go? Will McDonald's just higher on our board now, so I'm seeing him
Love it.
earlier.
Love it.
Jack Campbell, the guy that I love. Do you want to go McDonald?
We go McDonald, or, I mean, they could use offensive line help pretty much anywhere.
So Darnell Wright and Anton Harrison are both still on the board.
Yep.
Do you want to go Darnell Wright? I mean, the Bengals, I know Bengals fans really want Darnell Wright at 28. Do we want to screw them over?
It's not about being screwed. This is how the drafting works.
Okay. Darnell Wright?
I mean, Osiris Torrance is right there as well.
I've done I've given my spiel on Darnell Wright. Go check that out. One of our previous shows last week. All right, so what are we doing? Darnell?
Sure.
Okay, Darnell Wright's going to the Bills. Bengals, now at 28. I want Will McDonald for everybody.
Anton Harrison, Will McDonald, Osiris Torrance, DeJuan Jones.
I've loved DeJuan for them for a
Darnell
while.
Washington, people are wanting to put to the Bengals.
I wouldn't put him there in the first. I love the idea of an edge, knowing that you probably can't pay Trey Hendrickson in the coming years.
Yeah.
Anticipating
This is
that.
a classic. I mean, Will McDonald to the Bengals is a classic kind of pick for the future pick.
The Bengals have been just one of the best teams to analyze over the last couple of years. I think the Chiefs too. Like once you have the QB locked in, the analysis of what you do around that is fun. So I'm debating here more offensive line help versus here's this position that's historically paid a ton of money. Let's make sure we're always cheap there, being edge defender.
Now we're in a world where players are still available free agent wise. But did you see the report on what Lyle Collins' knee injury actually was?
No.
He tore pretty much everything. All 3 of the major, LCL, PCL, MCL.
So you want to get him a right tackle?
ACL, MCL, PCL.
DeJuan Jones it is.
Let's
Give him DeJuan Jones. We've been doing that forever.
Because right now it's Lyle Collins or Hakeem Adeniji at right tackle.
DeJuan Jones.
And we've seen how that plays out.
All right, now Will McDonald goes to the Saints.
Okay.
They need D-line. Will McDonald, 29 to the Saints.
Done.
Eagles at 30.
They got Skoronski at 10.
They got Skoronski at 10. Go on the defensive side of the ball now. It's a little thinner. Brian Bresee, we've dropped him a little bit on our board. Still probably a first-round caliber player.
We dropped him below Mozzie Smith.
We did.
Interesting.
Wow. I've got I have Mozzie a little bit higher in the model. The consensus board last time I checked, they're only a few slots away from each other though.
There's quite a lot of model influence in this new PFF big board.
It's at least 25% of the input here. And Renner's input is still in here.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
still in here.
Renner's is part of this.
I know DK Azama, Osiris Torrance. We've given them Torrance as a starting guard at 30 before.
But they just
they
got
already got Skaronski. I'm sorry. Apologies.
Yeah, so it's Felix, Mozzie Smith, Jack Campbell.
I don't want to go
Brzee.
D-tackle linebacker again. Yeah. Different type of D-tackle. I think Bree's better to complement Jordan Davis. Mozzie's similar to him. Somebody we're missing here?
Or one of
Who
the
else
edge
are we
rushers,
missing?
Felix.
Man, this is where the drop-off really happens, huh?
Well, certainly if you're looking at these positions, yeah.
All right. Pick somebody. Does the chat have anybody that they really want? Brissy? Let's just go Brissy.
Okay, done.
People are asking about him. Brian Brissy at 30, and now the Chiefs up at pick 31. I think Anton Harrison's interesting there
Yes,
to be a right tackle.
right. Anton Harrison makes a lot of sense for them.
All right.
See, look at how easy that was. Now we're in the second round.
So that's round one. Do I need to reset?
No, we can't reset an entire first round.
Since pick 11, because I did the top 10.
Yeah, I mean, that's still...
All right, here's the deal. We just flew through the top 10, the top 31.
Yes.
The top 10 picks were market influenced.
Correct.
There was no rhyme or reason here, except we were just kind of like half predicting. And now the fun part begins. It's round 2. We'll give you some of the top players on the board, who's remaining, and we'll do a round 2 mock.
For the first time.
For the first time.
I have also, by the way, I have a separate window open where I have created a mock draft that has just the teams that still haven't had a pick by the time we get to the end of the second round, right?
So we'll spend a little bit more time.
So I think there's 3 of them. We can create a pick for the first pick for all of the teams that still haven't selected, which I think is Denver. Who else is it Miami? No, they have one just before. Whatever. There's 3 teams, I think, that haven't picked by the end of the second round. We will get to them as well.
We'll do third round picks for them.
Just for them, yeah.
Okay.
But
all right, so
Tyler-
the Steelers are on the clock here at pick 32. In this
Tyler
particular,
won't have that on the screen. I'll just
He will not.
nab it at the end.
So the Steelers in this iteration here went Joey Porter Jr. in the first round. Steelers are up at 32. Now, what do you like here? So they've done a lot of work on their offensive line over the last couple of years. There's a few teams that might need a center. Steelers are probably in that boat where they could upgrade at center. Are they a John Michael Schmitz type of team? What other types of position? Mozzie Smith. Do they want more defensive line help? The run defense has been trouble. Jack Campbell feels like an old school Steelers linebacker. They've been throwing all sorts of darts at linebacker. The thing I do like about the Steelers, and fans might be saying, hey, we already filled those needs. We brought Patrick Peterson in at corner. They brought in Cole Holcomb at linebacker. They've Isaac Seumalo at guard, right? They've actually attacked a lot of their needs in Pittsburgh a little bit more aggressively than they have in the past as far as free agency goes. I think they are in this draft the best player type of mentality. You don't have to fill as many needs here.
Yeah, I mean, they've done a good job, I think, generally of ensuring that they don't have to chase need. They don't have to go crazy. But, we've been talking before. They still have not an ideal situation at tackle. That's quite a need. All of the kind of the top tier of tackles that I think most people are looking at have all gone in the first round. So you're down to Cody Mock from North Dakota State.
He's probably a guard center conversion.
Right, or Matthew Bergeron, the Syracuse offensive tackle.
Too early for Bergeron,
Those would be your next 2 guys. So I don't know. I've seen, I tweeted a while ago that thing that I said in the podcast that I think we're going to get a bunch, 3 or 4 Cole Strange type picks where nobody saw it coming, in the first round. 3 or 4 guys that are consensus second or third round players are going to end up getting drafted in round 1 because this is a draft where nobody knows what the hell is going on. And not only does nobody know what the hell is going on, but you don't love any of the top guys. There's 15 guys with a first round grade. Somebody's going to be picking in the 20s and go, we're stuck. So just grab the guy on our board, and it's going to be one of these people. I've seen people suggest that Bergeron will go in the first round. And if you need a tackle and the other guys are gone, I get it.
How do we want to do this? Are we doing this the way we would do it, or just trying to be somewhat predictive here? It's kind of a combination of who we like and what we think a team would do.
Yeah.
That sound right?
Let's
You want to give them Bergeron?
I mean, I don't necessarily want to do it. I'm just saying it's not crazy.
I like the Jack Campbell potential pick here. I've got some different numbers on Campbell. I don't know what happened in the rerun of the model here.
Oh, yeah?
With Campbell. He's dropped.
Likes him less than it did.
He's dropped a little bit in my numbers. Mozzie Smith is interesting.
He is?
I think, for the Steelers. They've had trouble against the run over the last couple of years. They bring back Larry Ogunjobi, but maybe another true nose tackle like Mozzie. I think Mozzie's a good fit here.
Okay.
Want to do that?
Sure.
Mozzie Smith going to the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Texans are back up on the clock.
From Michigan.
Yes. Defensive tackle from Michigan. He was a Feldman freak. Moves really well. He's got some, you get some, those classic old school two-gap plays on his film. I think the Steelers will like that quite a bit. Will Levis has been picked for the Texans, as has Jackson Smith and Jigba. So we've got a couple players on the offensive side of the ball. Are we leaning defense here? If you're Houston, I think you've got Emmanuel Forbes is the top player on the PFF board right now at corner.
Yep.
Felix Anudike-Uzomah from Kansas State at edge is available. What else would we be looking at? Cam Smith from South Carolina, corner.
I mean, they still need everything, essentially. They can your best player available at this spot. Corner, edge rusher, and you could do anything.
I like Forbes.
You like Forbes?
I like Emmanuel Forbes.
Okay.
For the Texans. Cornerback out of Mississippi State. He's skinny, but a baller. I mean, that dude goes and gets the football.
Very skinny.
Yeah.
Super skinny.
Hey, I was really skinny once.
Yeah?
Look at me.
You think he's got that?
Overcame it.
You think he's got the capacity to bulk out, get to 3 bills?
Well, I don't know if he can get to 3. I mean, I've heard that weight is into skill, and anybody can put weight on.
Easiest thing to work on.
Easiest thing to work on at the NFL level. Arizona Cardinals are up on the clock now. Pick 34. They went Tyree Wilson back at number 3 overall. Why did they do that? Because over the weekend, Tyree Wilson became the betting favorite to be the top defensive player off the board. So they got some length.
I thought you were going to go full Mike Florio on that one. Why did they do that? Because their brass was in Oklahoma unveiling a statue to Kyler Murray. Not working.
Oh, that's what he said about that?
Yeah.
That's such an idiotic take.
And then people called him out, and they were like, that is work. Like, they wouldn't be doing that if Kyler Murray wasn't the quarterback. Like, they went to Oklahoma specifically because, to make their QB happy.
But, like, from Florio, that's just not having any clue how the draft process works. What do you think is happening week of the draft? Do you think people are cramming like it's their AP chemistry test? Do you think they're just like, man, got to keep watching film all the way till Thursday night? Like, the hay's in the barn. The draft board is built. This week, there's a couple injury updates coming from the doctors, and they're going to move a guy from 62 to 74. That's what's going to happen this week on draft boards.
Florio responded to that with, would you rather have your GM working or not working 5 days before the draft or whatever it is? I put it to you, Stephen.
The other thing that's occurred over the last 20 or 30 years is a thing called the internet.
Uh-huh. No, that's true.
Where the traveling GM actually has communication to the outside world.
I watched, it's like the number of movies, that were made in the 80s or whatever that are immediately broken now because cell phones exist is amazing. Like, I watched... Got
to get to the payphone.
You ever see State of Grace?
I don't remember.
It's a movie with Sean Penn and Ed Harris and Gary Oldman. They're like a kind of a mobster movie. Anyway, there's a point where, like...
Now we're getting off the rails.
Yeah, yeah. We're in the second round now. We can do that. We've sped through the first round. It's fine.
Plenty of time.
Where there's a point where the Ed Harris, guy, is meeting the Italian mob in a restaurant, right? And he's like, if I don't call you, you send in the boys with the guns, right? Just mow everything down. You just lay waste to them, right? And he's like, if I don't call you by 2 p.m. or whatever it is, like 2 p.m. comes and goes, the guys are saddling up, right, with the guns, and they leave the room with the phone before he's able to phone them. So he finally gets to the payphone, and he's like, trying to, no. But the phone's ringing, they've left the room. Oh, you're like, if only you just had a phone that you could text or, or just phone, like a phone that goes with them that isn't attached to the room, which, by the way, appeared to be a derelict building that had a working phone in it, which seemed a little strange. But anyway, like the number of movies that are just immediately broken now because cell phones exist is fascinating.
Sad.
Yeah.
It's very sad. Back to the Cardinals at 34, are they a good fit for John Michael Schmitz?
Well, the point you were bringing up there is that, you can still work whilst being in Oklahoma. People work in Oklahoma.
And also the work that's being done the week of the draft is you're getting medical updates, and you're probably talking to fellow GMs who also have cell phones and email addresses.
On the phone.
You're probably talking to fellow GMs about trade opportunities. That's it. We're not ranking players. There's no more draft meetings. You're not breaking down your 7th round picks. It's all done. Work is 95% done week of the draft. Anyway, it's just a stupid take. Sorry, Mike. Just really. I like your partner, Chris Sims, your buddy. Chris was a great guest and all that stuff, but that's just trolling for no reason.
I see. The thing is, I don't think it's trolling. I think that's what he thinks.
It's just incompetence.
Your words, not mine.
Do you think people are staying up all night Wednesday before the draft? Like, man, I need more information. I need all my information I could get. The draft's tomorrow. I feel. Yeah. I'm doing that because I'm trying to catch up on watching prospects.
I haven't watched Will Mallory yet. What if that guy's
got to catch up on Will Mallory?
Yeah.
Could be our 1st round pick in Arizona.
Look, he's a first-year GM. He hasn't got to the 7th round.
Talked about him 3 months ago. All right. John Michael Schmitz. They got Yeldy Froholt scheduled to be their starting center.
Sure.
I think John Michael Schmitz could be a good fit for Arizona.
Done.
Colts back on the clock here at 35. They just got C.J. Stroud over at pick 4. Other holes for the Colts. They always need receiver help, shore up the offensive line. Corner could be a place that they go. Are they I love Josh Downs at this point. You root for funny.
I do.
Right? Here's the funny that could happen.
Okay.
The Colts draft Darnell Washington.
And just have a collection of giant freak show tight ends.
Yeah, to go with Mo Alley Cox and Jelani Woods.
Right. And then you would hear people saying this is the most talented tight end room in the history of the world.
Yes.
All of whom catching like 15 passes a season.
It's all right.
Yeah.
Mismatch creators. Stop that in the red zone with C.J. Stroud.
You just line up with all of them.
The receiving core is interesting. You have Alec Pierce, last year's rookie, Michael Pittman Jr. He's their number 1. Isaiah McKenzie comes in. There's a whole bunch of question marks. Would Downs be a good fit to compete for wide receiver 2 snaps with Alec Pierce?
Yeah.
Any other receivers that make sense there?
I mean,
Tank
obviously,
Dell, I know you like Tank.
Love Tank. This is also where I think the wide receiver, the kind of the class, the drafting is going to get weird. Like once those first 3 guys or first 4 guys, if you put Zay Flowers in, then it's all bets are off. Like that's where Jonathan Mingo is sneaking into the first round.
Jonathan Mingo.
That's where Cedric Tillman is sneaking into the first round. That's where, like, if you love one of the small guys, that's where they go. You know, there's going to be some weird picks at receiver at this point.
Mingo could be a good fit here too. Had a little bit more speed.
People are catching up to Mingo.
They are.
It's getting popular now. First round.
I'm not.
I redid my rankings officially for both my document that you have access to, but you haven't, used, and for the big board. And I moved Mingo up 1, only 1, but I bumped him up in the official because you criticized the fact that I didn't have numbers attached to any of these. So I've now added numbers.
I meant to click on your document. I've got a lot going on.
I've got Mingo up to 7 now. And also it bumped Zay Flowers up 1 as well. So Hyatt was the loser. Jalen Hyatt dropped a few spots. So Zay went up to 6 and Mingo went to 7.
So do we go receiver here? They could go, they've got some holes here. Felix Anudike-Uzomah at edge could be good. Keon White at edge could be good here.
I like receiver. I think if you're going to get, you got the quarterback, let's give him somebody else to throw to.
Downs is my favorite.
Try and make that a strength.
Josh Downs is my favorite.
Downs makes sense there.
All right, Josh Downs going to the Colts here at pick 35.
Oh, look, the Rams pick.
And now the Rams get to pick. I told you, I'm intrigued by the Rams draft. We're doing our 7-round mock over here at PFF. I have the Rams. I love my picks in rounds 5 and 6.
Sure.
All the players that I added. So they need some immediate help.
Yes.
Not like stars or anything. They just need to, fill some starters. They could always go offensive line depth. They need edge defenders.
They need a lot.
They need a receiver to replace Allen Robinson, who's been traded, to complement Cooper Kupp and Van Jefferson. So there's a few different ways that the Rams could go. They could grab starting linebackers, corner. Where are the Rams going to go?
I don't think we ever discussed the Allen Robinson trade, which the most notable aspect of it being, I think that is the least I've ever seen somebody traded for.
Yeah.
They effectively traded him to move, what was it, like 6 spots in the 7th round was like the exchange of picks.
And the Rams are paying his salary.
Yeah. So the Rams are eating a chunk of his salary. But effectively the trade, what the Steelers gave up to get Allen Robinson, who, remember, like a couple of years ago was like a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL. They essentially gave up moving down 6 or 7 spots in the 7th round this year to do that, which is amazing. Like, that's worse than a conditional 7th round pick, because at least the conditional 7th is like a new pick that you didn't have before. This is, you just moved 6 or 7 spots in the 7th round where nobody cares what the picks are anyway.
What happens that you just have to get out of it so badly? I mean, I know you like future years and money and all that stuff.
Well, particularly when you're eating a giant chunk of the money anyway. Like, the one thing you would say in this kind of trade normally is, well, at least you're not on the hook for the contract anymore.
But you are.
They're still paying him. Like,
yeah.
they're
just paying it all in 1 year.
Yeah, they're actively paying him to be not on the team anymore, effectively.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Well, it is. It's interesting. So it's, Rams have to get younger at a whole bunch of different positions. So what's the best fit here? The top player on the PFF draft board is O'Cyrus Torrence. I'm not sure he's the best fit for the way they like to run the ball.
Yeah.
At guard. They could use help everywhere, though, right?
Yes.
As we've said. So Felix Anudike-Uzomah's interesting at edge.
That makes a lot of sense.
I like DJ Turner a lot. Could be a little bit high for him, the Michigan corner.
Yeah.
Do you want to go Anudike-Uzomah?
Yes.
At edge. For Kansas State edge going to the Rams here at pick 36. That puts the Seahawks up on the board. At pick 37.
The Seahawks got Will Anderson, right? Number 5. That was their first pick. What was their second pick? Dalton Kincaid at number 20.
And Dalton Kincaid. Wow, that's a couple good players.
Yeah. They're having a good draft so far.
I would feel good if I'm the Seahawks coming off of last year's draft. Geno Smith's at quarterback. I'll tell you who's a good fit. O'Cyrus Torrence.
Oh. I thought you were going to go Julius Brents.
I mean, Julius Brents is a good fit for Seattle. A
lot of people are making that connection. And again, he's another one of those guys that people are saying could sneak into the first round. Now, that's way high.
Okay. I mean, I would take O'Cyrus Torrence to come in and play guard right away.
I will say, so as much as I think Julius Brents, number 1 in the first round is kind of crazy, and number 2 being really high on a cornerback rankings list is a little bit crazy. Where have I got him on my list? Corners, Julius Brents, 10. So he's my number 10 corner, and we've only got, 4 or 5 off the board at this point. So theoretically, there are 5 more corners essentially to come off before Julius Brents does. I will say, however, if you are the Seattle Seahawks, Julius Brents is probably your number 2 or 3 corner in the draft. Like, the board looks very different if you're the Seahawks than it does for insert random other team that doesn't play their corners the same way the Seahawks do. So I think, in abstract terms, that would be a fairly significant reach. But for their board, I don't think it would be.
Do you want to play that game then? Last year, they got so opposite Tariq Woolen, they have Michael Jackson. He's been okay. They got the most out of him.
Right.
This is why does it work for Seattle too? Pete Carroll's really good at coaching these guys up and getting Tariq Woolen to improve. Last year, let's get
37. I think is fine for that.
So how far is Brent's on our
60 something?
Our overall
you gotta scroll
board?
a bit, yeah.
That's not too bad though.
No.
Julius Brents, he's 68 now on the PFF draft board. So we're gonna take him at Seattle for 30. So at 37.
Yep.
They now have Seattle. The 2 players, when I go into Ultimate and I'm like, give me all the guys that are this long and this tall with this level of arm length, there's only 2 guys in the database.
Yeah.
Tariq Woolen and Julius Brents. The only difference is Tariq Woolen was 0.3 of a second faster.
Yes.
Just about in the 40, almost 0.3 of a second faster.
And they now have both of them.
All right, Raiders are up on the clock. Now O'Cyrus Torrence can go.
So they got Christian Gonzalez with their first-round pick.
They did. Now, do the Raiders, is this where quarterback starts to go? We got to start thinking about quarterbacks here for teams that are looking for a developmental prospect like a Hendon Hooker.
I was going to say, by quarterbacks, you mean Hendon Hooker.
Hendon Hooker, yes.
Because we don't think anybody,
Alex Bars and his negative WAR are slated to be the right guard.
Yeah, it's problematic.
Is slated to be the right guard for the Raiders.
Yes.
O'Cyrus Torrence?
Yeah.
Or do you want to go QB?
The discussion is, when does Hendon Hooker get drafted? Because he's the only other quarterback, I think, that is going to go
here's the picks
round.
coming up. Raiders could be in the market. Panthers could double up at quarterback.
No, they could.
No, they can't.
Stop that.
Saints at 40. Titans already drafted a quarterback, 41. Yeah. Jets at 42, if they want some Aaron Rodgers insurance.
And 43.
Jets at 42 and 43. Falcons at 44.
Haven't gotten Bijan. That would be interesting.
Could get Hendon Hooker. Packers 45. Patriots at 46. They've been shopping Mac Jones by that one report.
Yeah.
That was debunked. Or disagreed with, we'll say.
Okay.
Washington at 47.
Contradicted.
There you go. Thank you. I want Osiris Torrance for the Raiders. If he's fallen to 38, you just best player on the board.
Okay.
Send in Osiris Torrance. That's what I would say.
Nice. Yeah. That only works for
Don't want anybody to read my lips.
For the people watching. People listening have no idea, except the sound just went worse.
Maybe it was better. It's clear. That's why coaches put it up against their. Don't want you reading my lips, and I want to be able to hear.
Maybe that stopped the buzzing.
Maybe it offset the buzzing. Osiris Torrance going to the Raiders at pick 38.
For anybody listening, by the way, we are aware that there are buzzing issues on the podcast, and we are tearing the studio to pieces.
Not everybody's hearing. Not everybody's hearing it, but some are.
Yes, some people hear them. The more specifics we get as to when it shows up and why would be great, but we are constantly working on it, trying to eradicate the buzz before one of us dies.
Panthers at 39. So, a couple interesting names here.
So they obviously went Bryce Young.
Jahmyr Gibbs is at the top of the PFF draft board right now. Bama running back, explosive, quick. His highlights are out of this world.
They are.
Watching what Gibbs can do. He could be an interesting help for the Panthers. All receivers are on the board, right? Tank Dell, Jalen Hyatt, your boy Jonathan Mingo.
Which, now let's be clear about this. They just drafted their quarterback.
Yep.
Their quarterback, as currently stands, is throwing to Terrace Marshall, Adam Thielen, DJ Chark, Laviska Shenault, Hayden Hurst, Ian Thomas, and the running backs.
It's actually a decent stitched together short-term receiving core. As far as like Chark for a year, Thielen as he's getting older, Shenault as a complementary piece, and Terrace Marshall, you hope he breaks out. It's a decent, like it's not bottom five, I don't think, in the NFL.
It's like the Colts room you were talking about a couple of years ago, where like you can talk yourself into a scenario where each individual piece of that plays much better than you think.
But I'd rather not.
The collective is going to be good. It still feels like a room that needs to be upgraded, ideally in the first couple of rounds in the draft.
So the receiver room for sure. Does the value match up here with Tank Dell, Jalen Hyatt, Jonathan Mingo, whoever else you might like here? Cedric Tillman. Is tight end a play here? You mentioned Hayden Hurst and Tommy Tremble are the guys there. This is where your guy Darnell Washington, my guy Sam Laporta. I know we both like Laporta.
I would say all of those tight ends are on the table. Darnell Washington, Sam Laporta, Luke Musgrave, I think could probably be in the conversation as well. And all the top receivers are fair game as well.
The model would go Laporta here.
Okay.
I think.
Huh. What would the model do at receiver at this point?
At receiver, we're probably, because the consensus board has Tank Dell a little bit lower, we're going to wait a little bit. If I had to force a receiver, it's pretty much a toss-up between Jalen Hyatt and Cedric Tillman.
Okay.
And, Mingo, numbers don't like Mingo.
Numbers don't like Mingo.
I haven't factored your analysis into the model.
See, the problem with Mingo is, for some reason, that does appear to be entirely impossible to explain. The man had no production in his college career. It's an unfortunate reality to the situation that I haven't seen a good explanation for it. Nobody has come up with, oh, you see what happened there was. No, just for some reason, the guy who has some phenomenally good tape.
He's not a great receiver.
But he kind of is. And yet,
he's not a great route runner. He just makes a couple
spectacular
catches.
He's really good at everything. Like there's nothing. You look at his tape.
Denzel Mims. This is Denzel Mims.
No, it's not. You look at his tape.
For you.
Denzel Mims was like, he killed people at the Senior Bowl, and you could convince yourself that the rest of his tape was, would work because of that. Mingo's tape is good at everything. Like, it's difficult to find things from his tape that are problematic, other than the fact that there just isn't enough of it.
Okay.
So it's different.
Do you want to get Mingo to jump up here?
Well, let's ask the chat. Where would the chat go?
Where would the chat go? Panthers at 39. So some of the big names that are still on the board here is Jahmyr Gibbs, running back out of Alabama, Darnell Washington, the tight end out of Georgia, Cam Smith, cornerback out of South Carolina. Some big names. Hendon Hooker, QB out of Tennessee. They're still on the board as of right now. Matthew Bergeron. I do like Bergeron as a potential guard conversion. I think they're pretty solid on the offensive line right now. Bergeron's an interesting one. We've got some Jalen Hyatt questions or suggestions. Somebody likes Mingo. Somebody likes Darnell Washington. Somebody likes Cam Smith. This is great. I'm willing to jump Mingo up here.
Okay.
Just because we think he's going to go high. How low is he on our board?
It can't be that low, right? I surely bumped him significantly from
People sleeping on
Renner.
Marvin Mims, who's now at 75 on our board.
He went down?
Did he?
I'm asking.
That feels wrong.
Right.
No, I think he was low. What about Keon White here, too, is another guy that we're somehow our board screwed him.
I just think
we've got him low.
If you're Carolina, you really want to come out of this pick with a weapon for your new quarterback, right?
Yeah, let's find Mingo, wherever he might be.
Who the hell is he?
Wherever he might be. Sort by receivers over here on the mock draft sim.
I really have to go to page number 2 to find Mingo?
83rd.
What is wrong with this?
Oh, man.
Look, the NFL loves him.
The NFL loves Mingo,
more
therefore
than
we're going
Mike
to take him
Renner
at 39.
More than Renner
That's
did.
what kind of mock this is. You never know. We were trying to throw some curveballs. We're trying to do all sorts of fun stuff. Mingo?
Yes.
Mingo 39.
Greg Cosell talked him up, and that's all I need.
I love Greg. Saints on the clock at 40. Are they going to get the next Alvin Kamara?
Nice,
Jahmyr Gibbs. Do they want the next Alvin?
What do we give? They got an edge rusher. Which one was it? Did they get Will McDonald with their first pick?
I think they got McDonald.
Yes.
Would they double up with a power rusher like Keon White?
I mean, it's possible.
They just lost Marcus Davenport. Cam Jordan's getting older. Mm-hmm. Lost Trey Hendrickson a couple of years ago. It's Carl Granderson and Cameron Jordan.
Yeah.
Peyton Turner. You're still waiting on Peyton Turner to break out.
They probably wouldn't double up. I think there's enough in that group that they want to give him. Like, Granderson's played reasonably well. I don't think they're ready to give up on Peyton Turner yet. Jordan will still play even if he's reaching the end of his career. So there's not that many snaps, I guess, to go around.
You still have Alvin Kamara. They bring in Jamal Williams to be a complimentary piece. I'd just be interested if they went that route. They love big dudes. Darnell Washington is on the board. Jawan Johnson broke out at tight end last year, but Washington could be there too. Their run-blocking tight end, potentially. Think that's a fit for the Saints?
I do, actually. I think that makes a lot of sense. Darnell Washington at this spot, which is really what he needs to be as well.
Yeah, complimentary piece to Jawan Johnson, who's a former receiver, more of the receiving threat. So Darnell Washington.
Like that.
Going to the New Orleans Saints.
Good fit.
At 40. So just a quick reminder to everybody here, too. Every single year, there's probably, literally probably 75, 80 players who at least have their name attached to the first round at some point.
Yes.
Right? And then you get into round 2, and your brain says, well, I've seen this guy in the first round. I've seen Gibbs in the first round. I've seen Jack Campbell. I've seen Cam Smith. I've seen Sam Laporta. All these guys, and they're available in round 2. Because at some point, they were probably mentioned Hendon Hooker as a first-round pick somewhere.
Yeah.
But that's what makes the second round. I love the second round. So tune in Friday night. We'll be going through all the second round. And that's less predictable than the first round.
Yeah.
You never know where teams are going to go.
Like, the second round is fun because a lot of those kind of picks feel like great value. It's like, oh, we got a steal here because this guy was supposed to go 27, Like, those are good. I like that.
All right, let's go Titans on the clock at 41. Did they get Richardson? They got Anthony Richardson in the first round.
Yeah, Anthony Richardson to pick number 11.
So how are we going to embrace – do they go Jahmyr Gibbs? Do we just go – I'm just saying, if you're going to have Anthony Richardson, that's the time. Does it make any sense when I say this, that the running quarterback makes me more likely to take the dynamic runner?
I mean,
isn't that part of what made the Giants sneaky good last year?
Well, it makes some sense, but number one, they already have Derrick Henry.
I know, but he's getting older. He's a big power back. Jahmyr Gibbs is your change of pace.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if that's how I'm going to build my team, where else can Tennessee go? Other needs, receiver, certainly trying to replace A.J. Brown still. You have Traylon Burks over there. We've put Jackson Smith and Jigba to them for a while. Do they want one of these next receivers? Are we going to start overdrafting all these receivers?
I mean, that's another team that needs offensive line help pretty desperately as well. So whether it's Steve Avila, the
Cody Mock,
guard, Cody Mock.
They could use they bring in Daniel Brunskill to play right guard.
Yeah.
Familiar face coming from the Niners, Rand Carthon. But center's a question. As Aaron Brewer moves over, you replace Ben Jones.
Literally every spot along the offensive line.
Dylan Raydun's.
Bergeron as well. Any offensive lineman.
Steve Avila from TCU is the top guard on the PFF board. Cody Mock is a tackle guard conversion. Luke Whippler is a center that I do like from Ohio State that could come in and play. Good zone blocker.
Yeah. I mean,
Let's get Whippler.
Any offensive lineman. Pick one.
Do you want to go down and get do we want a center or a guard? They very specifically need to replace Ben Jones at center.
Yes.
How about Whippler?
Sure.
Where's Tippmann? Is Tippmann lower than that?
Was he another? He was one of those guys that we.
Joe Tippmann. Where did he end up? Oh, yeah, he's at 67. Somehow forgot him in some of my numbers. Hey, Luke Whippler, Ohio State. I like him. This is high for him, though, I think. Yeah. He's the last consensus board I had him at 77.
Yeah.
But this is what happens in the draft, right? These things can happen.
Particularly at center. I mean, center is one of those positions
I
think that can go higher because there's not that many of them in the draft.
He's going to go like 5th round or something.
Probably.
You want to go is that too high for him? I feel like that's a stretch for him.
You did it. You made me click the button. It's
all right. Luke Whippler's going to the Tennessee Titans. We got back-to-back picks now for the Jets.
Yep.
Should we give one of these to the Packers?
No.
Yeah, the Aaron Rodgers stuff is happening this week. Let's give one of the picks.
Talking this week.
You know what's going to happen. Thursday night, 7:30 p.m. Aaron Rodgers, he's gonna come out and be like, he's gonna have some cryptic tweet about he's gonna just like post a jet emoji, and we're gonna talk about it for the next 3 hours.
Yeah, they're not gonna get it done before that.
They have to get this pick done.
It's gonna be like a conditional next year. First.
Give one of these picks to the Packers.
Ugh, now you're gonna make Tyler trade it away in the thing. Why you gotta be awkward?
Why don't we just pretend one of them's the Packers? Oh man, what do we do?
Even worse than actually doing it.
What do we do? Oh, everybody thinks that's way too high for Whippler. You'll see when he's a 10-year starter. Yeah. You guys will see. So Tennessee, they reached. Whatever. Teams reach. Do teams reach?
Do teams reach? Yes.
Of course they do. They don't think they do. But they do, relative. I mean, Cole Strange will never go in the first round.
Well, you could just, okay, if you get Tyler, just trade Aaron Rodgers straight up for pick number 42. Then you can do that. And force it through, just to be done.
All right, so the Packers force it through. Packers.
See, look, there we go. We go trade, Green Bay, scroll down a little bit to player. And
select
then
a player, Aaron Rodgers. And the Jets are giving up 42.
There you go.
Former Cleveland pick. So Aaron Rodgers for pick 42.
Yep. And then
boom.
Force it through. Done. Trade.
Trade not accepted. Force this trade.
There we go. Trade. Green Bay are now on the clock.
Green Bay is on the clock with pick 42. Green Bay took Nolan Smith in the first, I believe.
Yes, Nolan Smith.
At pick 15, where will the Packers go now?
Well, now this is their classic. Now we go for weapons on the offensive side of the ball. We're not going to do it in the first round, obviously, because we never do that.
Sam Laporta,
Luke Musgrave, one of the wide receivers.
I like Laporta best of the tight ends.
I think that makes sense. Laporta.
Explosive tight end. Sam Laporta going to the Packers here. At pick 42. Now the Jets are on the clock. What are we doing for Aaron Rodgers? The Jets took tackle, right, at 13.
Yep.
So Paris Johnson to add some of that O-line depth, compete at both left tackle, right tackle, figure that all out. What else could the Jets use here? We have them as tackle and linebacker needs.
Yeah, they've been adding, Aaron Rodgers tempt pieces. So Alan Lazard is already on the team. Garrett Wilson, last year's Rookie of the Year, obviously. They still have the great Corey Davis, right?
And the great Denzel Mims.
Denzel Mims is still there. They traded away Elijah Moore.
McCall Hardman's there.
Their backfield is pretty well stacked with Breece Hall, Zonovan Knight, Michael Carter.
Is this a Jack Campbell fit here?
It could be. They're another team, so they have a lot of money tied up in tight ends for the next year or so, but maybe they want to future-proof that for the eventuality that Tyler Conklin doesn't, and CJ Uzomah doesn't, justify the big money, which doesn't really look like they're likely to. So maybe they would get a Luke Musgrave.
They could. It feels like a lot of tight ends there.
Yeah, but the idea being that, two of them aren't going to be there next year because they're getting paid a lot of money and they're not great.
Both guards are pretty well invested in. So you want another tight end.
I mean, I think
you got
it's
CJ Uzomah and Tyler Conklin.
Yeah.
And just get a developmental tight end. Is your roster that good that you can get a tight end 3 right now?
I mean, it's not necessarily that good, but this is drafting for the future more than right now. This is a move that's going to stand them in good stead for multiple years.
The other option is defensive end depth. So Aid Adebawore could be a guy that's going to go higher than our board, which is 56.
Yep.
Edge/defensive interior. Could be a nice fit for the Jets.
Yeah.
To complement Quinn and Williams.
Adebawore would be interesting. I mean, anybody along that defensive line just to add rotation is intriguing for them.
Another guy I do really like is Keanu Benton from Wisconsin. Not as good against the run, but an interior penetrator. It feels like they want some disruption on the defensive line.
Yeah, they lost Shepard,
Sheldon Rankins,
and Sheldon Rankins, so they've got the space.
What about Adebawore?
All right, done.
All right, 8 Adebawore going to the Jets at 43. Another guy I'm trying to find the data to back up him as a player because I love him on film, but I can't. Hard to saying yes, the data's saying no. Falcons are up at pick 44. We're cruising. We're cruising, man. The Falcons took Bijan.
Yes.
At pick 8. That's the only pick they've had, right?
Correct.
Falcons have done a really nice job this offseason. Now, is this Hendon Hooker spot?
Hendon Hooker would be fascinating here because you don't need him right away, and you're not going to get him right away. Like the idea that we're ready to roll with Desmond Ridder. That might be true. Hendon Hooker lets you give that a shot and then is there ready to take over if it doesn't go well.
All right, let's do that.
So I kind of like that as maximizing your bets that this is going to work out.
Hendon Hooker has jumped up to 47 on the PFF draft board. Second-round pick. This is where Jalen Hurts was drafted, second round.
Yes.
Just saying. Hendon Hooker going to the Atlanta Falcons here.
Where has Hendon Hooker moved to in the consensus board at this point?
I think he's in the 30s. Wow. Because I think there's enough people put him in the first, and then there's enough people saying, no, that's crazy, that's what's happening there.
I have the consensus board open. One of my many tabs open, I can tell you.
Which consensus?
Arif's.
The Jets are back up on the clock, by the way.
The only one
I'm sorry, the Packers are back up on the clock.
Hendon Hooker is still number 62 on Arif's consensus board. The other one I sent you last night that had a bunch of, I don't know how many, like a dozen consensus boards, that has him up at 46.
All right. So Packers are back up on the clock. Steve Avila, the guard from TCU, could be a nice fit here. They just drafted Quay Walker last year at linebacker. Jack Campbell is still on the board. They had Jahmyr Gibbs type of place. I know they already have Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. Is that way too many running backs there in Green Bay?
And that would be a little bit much, I think.
They're pretty well stocked at corner right now. Safety, they have some needs, but there's no – I mean, you always get random safeties drafted high, but I don't see anybody really worth being drafted as a safety at this point.
Right, that would be a bit of a reach, all right.
Already added Nolan Smith and Sam Laporta at tight end.
Mm-hmm.
I think Avila at guard. He could step in and play right guard for John Runyon.
He could.
Maybe right away.
I think you can never have too many DBs, so they could be thinking about the corners at this spot, like a Cam Smith.
I mean, I agree with that. They already have under contract Eric Stokes, Jair Alexander, Rasul Douglas.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with adding more depth there, but I don't know. Maybe Cam Smith could play in the slot a little bit better than some of those guys.
Yeah,
I don't hate that.
Would love that.
Is that too redundant with those other guys? I would do it.
It's pretty redundant.
I'm okay with having 4 corners that I'm good with.
It's pretty redundant, but you know.
You want to do it anyway?
I mean, I'm just saying it's an option.
Any other good options here?
Well, depending on if you want to move Cody Mauch inside to guard, he could be your John Runyon replacement or option.
Maybe compete at center with Josh Myers.
Or they double up and keep swinging at the defensive line, like Keon White. And they have 2 guys to add to the rotation.
They still have Preston Smith and Rashawn Gary there.
Preston Smith can't be there for much longer.
He's got 4 years left on the deal.
Like, how many are you actually going to play out?
Yeah, I don't know if that's void years.
I mean, their interior is a potential concern. Like, Devontae Wyatt was a first-round pick a year ago, barely played, and when he didn't make much of an impact. Like, could barely earn more than 20 snaps a game. Kenny Clark is still really good, but all of a sudden, their interior kind of needs some actual – it needs Devontae Wyatt to take a big step forward, or it needs another body in there.
So where do you want to go? Did you say D tackle?
Yeah.
Benton?
That's probably their biggest need.
Local guy.
It might also be a bigger reach than other positions.
Keanu Benton? Kind of like Benton. If he could be a little more sturdy against the run.
What does the model say?
Well, I can't tell everybody that's already been picked here.
Okay.
The model doesn't love Benton. I like him on film, though.
Doesn't love him.
No. Doesn't like a lot of people. High standards here.
If I got to scroll to the second page again.
Keon White. Who? Benton's at 58 on our board. It's not big. It's not that big of a reach.
I missed him.
Let's go Benton.
All right.
All right, Keanu Benton. I mean, he's got some of those flash plays. He whooped John Michael Schmitz on a play. Gets off the ball really, really fast. Kind of a late bloomer as far as production goes. Patriots at 46. This feels like a Keon White landing spot. They've been linked to him in the first. Who did New England take in the first?
Deontay Banks.
Took Deontay Banks at corner. So I mean, edge rusher is not a weakness at all, but
no.
He could be a guy there. Jahmyr Gibbs.
White is
had some speed.
White's a real kind of conundrum for a team looking to draft him because theoretically it feels like he's quite a long way away, like just this raw ball of energy, but doesn't really know what he's doing. But he's not young. So, do you want to sit him for a year learning?
New England has the depth to be able to do that.
Right, but at some point, like, it's how sensible is that when the guy's already 24? Like, you're going to be 25 before you see anything good from him, in addition to having burned a year of his contract. Like, it's a sort of slightly weird problem for them to work through. Like, how do you get this guy on the field whilst, bringing him along and developing and all that kind of stuff? Like, I don't know. It's just an interesting kind of discussion for a team looking to draft him.
So here's the other two other places the Patriots could go here. Wide receiver, generally adding weapons for Mac Jones, right? Jalen Hyatt, speed. Tank Dell, speed. Cedric Tillman, if you want a more all-around outside receiving threat. The other name that I would just link to New England here might be Drew Sanders from Arkansas. He was an edge defender at Alabama, converted to linebacker at Arkansas. That is a classic Dante Hightower type of player. Versatile player that the Patriots like. So he could be a potential fit there. I'm intrigued by round 2 receiver, though.
Yeah, problem is
for what's on the board.
I don't think, given what they've already drafted recently, they're going to have Tank Dell or Jalen Hyatt as the guys they're looking for. I think they'd be looking at Cedric Tillman, maybe
he competes to try to replace Devontae Parker in a year.
Yeah, or maybe Michael Wilson, like one of the bigger-bodied receivers.
Yeah. How about Tillman?
Sure.
Let's go Cedric Tillman, number 61 on the PFF draft board, going here at 46 to New England. Some weapons for Mac Jones.
The other option for them, by the way, obviously we were committed at this point. We pressed the button, it's done. But they could potentially look to add a slot corner in addition to the outside corner that we gave them in round 1. I know they've got Marcus Jones, who played there last
Miles
season.
Bryant. They like both guys.
But I think that secondary needs some significant help based off the evidence of a year ago, and maybe you don't want to draft 2 outside corners, but you might want to double up with outside and then slot.
So we've gone Cedric Tillman for New England at pick 46. Washington's up at pick 47 here.
They got Broderick Jones in the first round.
So they have 16. A tackle. A lot of people link them to a tackle. I'm kind of liking, I know, so their linebacking group has former first-rounder Jamin Davis. Cody Barton comes in. The great David Mayo is still there as well.
Yep.
But is this a fit for Jack Campbell?
Who better to show Jack Campbell the ropes than David Mayo?
Is this a fit for Jack Campbell? Is this also a fit for Jahmyr Gibbs? They bring Brian Robinson there last year as a rookie, power back, bigger body. Do we get another Bama player now in Gibbs? Not former teammates, but another Bama player. Brings a little bit more dynamism as Antonio Gibson heads into the final year of his contract.
Take over from Antonio Gibson.
Yeah.
Sure. It makes some sense.
Trying to get as many weapons around Sam Howell, including running backs.
Yeah, I mean, it makes some sense. They're also, like, their cornerback room is pretty ugly. Cameron Dantzler was signed. Maybe he competes with Benjamin St-Juste. Kendall Fuller is still, like, I think better inside than outside, and yet they need him outside. They're rough at corner.
Okay, corner could be a good one. Cam Smith.
Cam
Smith. Top on the PFF draft board. DJ Turner's the top by the model.
Cam Smith at this point, I think, is a lot of value.
Cam Smith?
Yeah.
All right. South Carolina cornerback. Cam Smith, he can play inside, outside. He's going to go to Washington here at pick 47. That puts the Lions back up on the clock. Detroit picked up Will Anderson, I believe. No, Devin Witherspoon at 6, and then Kalijah Cansey at 18.
Nice.
So corner and a D tackle. Where do the Lions go now? They could go receiver again, just continue to add playmakers.
Jameson Williams went and got himself suspended for betting on something other than the NFL inside an NFL building.
Now, a lot of people are giving the Lions Bijan Robinson in the first round. Jahmyr Gibbs is still available here.
Yeah.
At running back, David Montgomery and DeAndre Swift are there. Swift heads into the last year of his contract.
Yeah. I mean, Gibbs would be a natural DeAndre Swift successor.
I don't think you need to think about, Jameson Williams misses 6 games. We need to replace him. They always needed a little bit more receiver help, though. So, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Josh Reynolds, Jameson Williams, Marvin Jones Jr. Marvin Jones is back? Is that right? Yeah. They could go receiver. There's good value here.
Yep. I would definitely go with a weapon of some description.
I'm intrigued by Gibbs.
Whether it's Gibbs, whether it's Tank Dell, Jalen Hyatt, one of those guys.
So based off, I think there's other receivers. Like in the third, like if they added a Marvin Mims a little bit later, Rashee Rice a little bit later, I could play that game. If I'm Detroit, I feel like there's other receivers. Mm-hmm. There's only one Jahmyr Gibbs, though.
There's only one Jahmyr Gibbs. That's true.
Right?
Fact.
Let's go Gibbs.
Okay.
For the Lions fans are going to – I feel like the Lions fans, every mock draft I see, when you see the PFF 7-rounder that Detroit had, I don't even remember what they got. I just remember it was out of this world. It feels good. The Lions are well positioned to feel good, I think, coming out of the draft.
Yeah.
And if they get Devin Witherspoon, Kalijah Kancey, and Jahmyr Gibbs with their first 3 picks, I think you're feeling good.
I think you're feeling great.
In Detroit. What do we have here? Pittsburgh at pick 49. So they got Mozzie Smith earlier this round at pick 32, and in the first round, they got Joey Porter Jr. to play corner.
All defense so far. Are they going to have one of those drafts? We give him Jack Campbell as well.
We considered Jack Campbell the first time around.
Yeah.
I would give him Jack Campbell.
Yeah, I mean,
they just brought in. What do you think, Allen Robinson? We haven't talked about the trade. What do you think Allen Robinson can bring to the table?
I don't know, but it's a gamble absolutely worth taking for Pittsburgh. Number one.
I thought you were going to say it's a gamble. I'm like, no, that's as easy as it gets.
Yeah, I mean, it's a no-brainer on the basis it's costing them almost nothing to do it. And he's not that far removed from being a really, really good wide receiver. Yeah. And even, remember, like the offseason when he signed with the Rams, it's like, Robinson's going to go to the moon. They love him. Matthew Stafford, it's the best quarterback he's ever played with. Like ever, dating back to when he first picked up a ball and started playing the game. The man has never had a quarterback. So the narrative and the excitement for Allen Robinson was off the charts, and then it just didn't happen. And sure, Robinson was a part of that, but let's remember everything else fell apart for the Rams as well. Like it's not like it was just Robinson that stank, and that was the problem there. Like the offensive line fell apart, Stafford was playing like crap, everything went to hell. So if you're
Robinson
Pittsburgh,
just wasn't a fit for everybody there.
Probably, but it's also like everything fell apart so fast it's hard to tell what he would have been or what he could have been. If like you plug him into the offense from the year before, what does that look like? Nobody has any idea because it wasn't anything like that the next year.
Theoretically, Robinson should have fit with Stafford. I don't know if Sean McVay fit like a guy that's just a one-on-one ISO winner.
Right.
With the way he likes to scheme things up.
But now you have Deontay Johnson, George Pickens from a year ago, Allen Robinson added to that. Calvin Austin might actually see the field this time. You know, you've got Gunnar Olszewski there to take the odd snap. That's an interesting receiving core for Kenny Pickett to try and make the most of. And Pat Freiermuth at tight end. So I love the move for Pittsburgh. Like if he's nothing, if it doesn't work out at all, didn't cost you anything. And this is the off chance that you actually rediscover the Allen Robinson that was like carrying quarterbacks for the first half decade of his career.
So to me, Jack Campbell's a best player available type of pick. Steve Avila is a top option here, but they just invested in Sayamalu and James Daniels at guard over the last couple of years. I guess Daniels could move to center again. I don't think they're going to do that though. And they just brought in Cole Holcomb and Landon Roberts at linebacker. I don't know if those guys are keeping me from drafting Jack Campbell.
No, I don't know that like Jack Campbell isn't starting over either of them. I mean, certainly like Cole Holcomb would be the other guy that I would definitely have in the lineup, but Jack Campbell could easily take a Landon Roberts starting spot.
The other guy I'd bring up though is Keon White as a power edge to go with TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith. You do want to roll 3 deep at that position. You talked about the development of Keon White. Do you throw him into the mix here as Highsmith probably has to get paid soon? That could be a good fit here at edge.
Yeah, he's also got, I think, some position flexibility in terms of you could line him up pretty much anywhere on that front and let him just wreck shop.
So I'm really intrigued by Jack Campbell, but should we go Keon White instead?
I think either would be fine picks.
Let's go White. I think he's going to go higher on draft night. We're at 49 right now.
Yeah.
Let's go Keon White to the Steelers at pick 49.
Tampa Bay.
Bucks up on the clock at 50. I think Avila probably steps right in and plays football for them, doesn't he?
Plays football. Miles Murphy was their first-round pick, not pick number 19.
They went Miles Murphy. We know they need to attack the offensive line.
Yep.
Left guard. Oh, they did bring in Matt Filer.
Got to protect Baker Mayfield.
Tampa Bay. They have Matt Filer and Robert Hainsey slated to start at guard, compete with Aaron Stinney, Nick Leverett. I think Steve Avila might make a lot of sense here.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I mean, they could address.
They're talking about trading. So Devin White wants to be traded.
Sure.
Then you could have Jack Campbell come in and play next to Levante David.
For the year that Levante David is likely to still be playing.
Right.
Yeah.
Just for this year. I mean,
sure.
yeah. Definitely needs a future-proof linebacker generally.
Right. Jack Campbell would make sense. Like either of the linebackers would make sense. Steve
Drew
Avila.
Sanders.
Yeah.
A lot more holes in Tampa Bay than there were
I think I'd
previously.
go Campbell more than Avila.
Well, let's do it. Jack Campbell going to the Bucks.
And here we got a new team.
And the Dolphins get to choose here after forfeiting their first pick. They're up at pick 51. What are we looking at here for the Miami Dolphins?
After months of the process, Miami finally gets a pick on the podcast.
I know. Didn't you guys do a second round?
I think at one point we didn't do a second round, but at one point we definitely went through and gave picks for the teams that didn't have them in the first round.
So this could be Liam Eichenberg is the left guard right now. Avila could step in.
Yep.
And compete right
Absolutely.
at left guard.
Yeah, definitely. They could also definitely use an upgraded tight end with
Luke Musgrave.
Yeah.
Potentially.
With
Durham Smythe and Eric Saubert.
Yeah. Who the hell's the guy that just let go?
Mike Gesicki.
There you go. Mike Gesicki haven't left. Yeah, Musgrave I think would make a lot of sense here.
Any other tight ends? Yeah, Musgrave's the only other second round caliber tight end. There's a couple intriguing third and fourth and fifth round. Third to fifth round is an intriguing tight end landing spot.
Yeah, I mean Tucker
Kraft, Zach
Dakota
Kuntz,
State, Zach Kuntz,
Luke Schoonmaker,
from
Josh Wiley from Cincinnati, Brenton Strange, your guy Will Mallory. I feel like we might be able to attack tight end later, but getting a starting caliber guard right now.
It's a really good tight end class, so you can definitely play that game.
The only other starting caliber guards I say are Chandler Zavala from NC State. So I think I'm going to play. So I think it's Steve Avila or Cody Mock here.
Yeah.
Either one.
Steve Avila makes a lot of sense. That comes in immediately, I think, upgrades that left guard spot.
Right, Steve Avila.
They need to keep working on as long as
Tua.
They just need to keep working on, period.
Just need to get better. Need to get better over here. Steve Avila going to the Dolphins at pick 51. That puts Seattle back up on the clock. Seattle's going to feel good about their draft as well.
Will Anderson at number 5, Dalton Kincaid at number 20, and then Julius Brents at 37. That's
their guy.
It's a pretty nice haul
at
for
corner.
Seattle.
Now, are they a team that wants to double up at edge or just on the defensive line generally? The next defensive tackle on the board is one of my guys, but it's going to be a little bit higher. Kobe Turner from Wake Forest, probably a little bit too high for him. Where else could they be looking?
So they added a tight end, right? However, what if they added a slot receiver who's also a vertical threat for Geno, who loves the deep ball?
Is Tank still on the board?
Tank is not on the board.
Did we draft him?
No, Tank is still on the board, but also so is Jalen Hyatt. And that, to me, puts Hyatt in the best position to succeed, where that's what he did at Tennessee. We know he can do that. We don't know if he can do other things, but you don't need him to do anything else because you've got DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett already there to man those outside spots. What you really want is a slot receiver that can take the top off a defense and terrify people.
Yeah, I'm in on that. Jalen Hyatt?
Yeah.
So you got your speed threat to Seattle here. Jalen Hyatt, number 55 on the draft board, PFF draft board, number 52. He goes to 52nd here to the Seattle Seahawks. So what's that haul for Seattle? You got Kincaid and Hyatt on the offensive side of the ball. Mm-hmm. Will Anderson and Julius Brents. Get some athletes there, too.
Gotta like that.
Get some athletes there in Seattle. This could be back-to-back incredible drafts for Seattle, the way they're positioned with 4 picks in the top 52. Chicago Bears are back up on the clock, pick 53 here. At 9,
they got Jalen Carter.
We gave them Jalen Carter, filling that much-needed defensive line need. Could they be Cody Mock here?
Yeah.
offensive line depth. Cornerback also a need. DJ Turner, Tyreek Stevenson are the top 2 guys on the PFF draft board. You know I love Turner. They could also go more defensive line. Tuli from USC, Tui Apoloto is still available there. BJ Ojolari, not guys that you love. It's the beige guys.
The beige guys, yeah.
The beige guys are available here.
There was talk
edge.
that.
Let's see.
There was talk that if
Isaiah Foskey,
yeah,
developmental prospect.
beige. There was talk that if Jalen Carter made it as far as 9, I think this was in Peter King's Football Morning in America article, that the Steelers could look to trade up to 9 to get
The Steelers,
Jalen Carter.
yeah, the Steelers were trying to have Carter in for a visit. He said, "No, you guys draft too low."
Right.
Not realizing that the Steelers,
Could trade to 9.
yeah, they have an extra first round. Well,
Right.
They have pick 32. They have extra picks here.
But so
And the Steelers might be, look, as we were just drafting for the Steelers, again, they have a lot of their needs filled as far as average players goes. They want to go get an impact player. I could see that happening.
yeah, the Bears on the offensive line, Cody Mock would give you the ability to kind of hedge a little bit, like they're, what are they doing with Tevin Jenkins? Do you want him a guard? Do you want him a tackle? Like, which is your weak spot? Which is your weak link along this offensive line? Mock kind of gives you the ability, a little bit like Skoronski.
A lot of flexibility.
A poor man
Yeah.
Skoronski to sort of, well, let's see. We could try him at tackle, see if that works out, and if not, we move guard, and we know we've got
Let's go
the
Mock.
tackle option still on the roster.
Let's go Cody Mock.
All right.
That good? You want that?
Yeah, I think that
To
works.
the Bears? All right, Cody Mock going to the Bears. Chargers now up at 54. Did they get Jordan Addison?
No, they got Quentin Johnston.
Quentin Johnston at receiver. So big explosive receiver to go with Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. Now the Chargers defensive line depth always in play.
Yep.
And where else were we looking for them?
I mean, they could use running back because
Charbonnet.
right, because the Austin Eckler thing is still working its way through. Nobody's happy. They could always use, defensive backs. Like, I know we don't know what their
J.C.
situation
Jackson
is.
actually is.
We don't know what J.C. Jackson is going to play like in this defense. He played terribly right up until he got hurt, and then it looked like maybe they discovered if we just play him in man coverage, we'll get something better. And then he got injured and was lost for the season. Asante Samuel Jr., I think, is a good player for them, but the other cornerback spot, I think, is a question mark. So they could certainly swing there. They bring in Eric Kendricks in free agency. Really like that for their linebacker group. The defensive line on the interior was bad last year. The group that they brought in didn't improve things. Sebastian Joseph Day, Austin Johnson, Morgan Fox, I think, was a sneaky good player for them and a guy that definitely was good to retain. So between Morgan Fox, Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, you've got good players, but you definitely wouldn't be hurt for an upgrade.
Okay, so that's a good job laying out the roster. The 3 corners, J.C. Jackson, Asante Samuel, Michael Davis is still there.
Yeah.
Not sure, like maybe Asante Samuel is the best fit for the slot, but I think an actual slot corner could be a guy. The other thing is last year at this time, we kept mocking the Chargers' Jordan Davis, but even with the additions of Morgan Fox and Austin Johnson, just a big 330-plus pounder, play the run. Finally, they still were getting gashed last year. Is this Siaki Ika time from Baylor?
I don't like drafting a guy like that this high.
Too high.
I think so, but I get what you're saying. The other thing is Nasir Adderley retired, right? Just like straight up quit football.
Did he?
Yes.
Didn't see
So
that.
all of a sudden
He's
you need,
gone.
you
Alohi
need another
Gilman
safety.
and Derwin James.
Right.
It's the offseason. That's
Now
allowed.
you need 2 safeties.
Some people like the other safeties better than we do. Sidney Brown.
Didn't even acknowledge that joke, huh?
So what did you say?
Said now you need 2 safeties
Oh.
because you just named him.
Oh, I got you. Yeah.
Yeah, see?
I got you, yeah.
It's funny when you
So
have to
double
explain
up on safeties. I like Jordan Battle as the next safety, but he had some of the worst workout numbers you'll see.
it. Not ideal.
Is this too high? Antonio Johnson is listed as a safety. I don't know what his fit is at the next level. He can
Right.
play in the slot. There's probably a fit here
Yes.
for the Chargers because both positions are kind of
That's the thing.
up in the air.
So yeah, like he's a little bit ambiguous in terms of where you play him, but the Chargers certainly wouldn't be hurt if he ended up being just a slot corner only.
Texas A&M, Antonio Johnson. I think he's a zone slot maybe. He was very productive. Numbers like him. Grades are good. I don't love him as a prospect, Antonio Johnson. But is that a fit? Is this too much of a stretch here? Too much of a need pick for the Chargers if we do this?
I don't think it's too much of a need. I mean, it is a need. I think it makes some sense. I think he is definitely. It's not entirely clear what he is at the next level, but I think whatever it is helps the Chargers. Like, I don't think there's a scenario where it turns out the thing he is at the NFL level is the thing the Chargers already have completely covered, and he's just not helping.
Sidney Brown has better. I mean, he's got to play in the box too. There's a lot of Sidney Brown and Jair Brown from Penn State. A lot of these safeties, I keep writing, hey, they got to play. Play close to the line of scrimmage and everything.
Who would
play
be?
man.
I mean, the next real quote unquote corner would be either Tyreek Stevenson from Miami, who I don't like at all, or Keely Ringo from Georgia. Darius Rush, DJ Turner.
Turner could play in the slot.
Very different group of corners.
Turner might be able to play in the slot.
Sure.
I might go Turner here.
You love DJ Turner.
The numbers love DJ Turner. I like him.
You are the numbers. You are the model.
I am. What do you want to do?
I mean, I don't hate DJ Turner there.
All right, let's go DJ Turner to the Chargers. Talking through a lot of stuff here. The Lions are back up on the clock. Is this even fair?
Lions are picking again?
They just picked Jahmyr Gibbs.
God damn.
So the Lions, let's reset once again. Devin Witherspoon at 6, Kalijah Kancey at 18, then Jahmyr Gibbs? Yeah, Jahmyr Gibbs at 48, and the Lions are back up on the clock. So they already got a corner, got a D tackle. We mentioned receiver last time around. We said we can wait on receiver.
And then we did, and they're still there.
Is this Tank Dell?
Tank Dell in this offense sounds very fun to me.
Let's do it. Tank Dell going number 55 to the Lions. So they got this pick from Minnesota last year.
For TJ Hawkinson.
Oh, this was in the Hawkinson trade. Yeah. So there you go. You trade in TJ Hawkinson.
For Tank Dell.
For Tank Dell.
And money.
That's why and a lot of money. That's why trading for picks ends up being good. Luke Musgrave's on the board. Do we want to go tight end, or do you already do Tank?
I already clicked the button and put in Tank. You need to suggest it to me, and I was in.
Yeah, I know.
Love
Tank Dell going to the Lions at 55.
Tank Dell. So I have Tank Dell, I think, is my number 4 wide receiver, right? Yeah. Tank Dell is my number 4 wide receiver in this draft. And honestly, if he wasn't such an absolute outlying freak show, 5'10", 165, he'd probably be higher. The dude is so good. He led the nation the last couple of years in open targets, just the number of open targets. And it's not like people didn't know Tank Dell was coming. Like, he was the guy in that offense. Defenses were trying to shut him down, and he was still getting open. He's good at a bunch of stuff you're not supposed to be good at if you're 5'10", 165. And that's not just him. Like, Josh Downs is as well. He's an exceptionally good contested catch guy for a guy that size. Tank Dell isn't necessarily a great contested catch guy, but he understands how to get open late, which is a thing that smaller guys don't necessarily have down the field. They tend to get kind of physically overwhelmed, but he's really good at like subtly pushing off and separating. And he's lightning fast. Like we saw, there's those clips out. If you Google or if you search him in Twitter, you'll find those releases at the Senior Bowl where he's just crossing up people, making them fall over. Tank Dell is one of those, there's so many of them in this draft, these physical outliers that terrify you because nobody else looks like that in the NFL, and that's automatically scary. But he has the tape to make you go, I mean, if the size isn't a problem, we just found a star.
And now the Lions have, if they add Jahmyr Gibbs and Tank Dell, all of that speed, Jameson Williams, once he gets back
right, if he comes
suspension,
back, it's all of a sudden like the fastest group of weapons in the NFL.
That's how you build around Jared Goff.
Even like notwithstanding the fact that Tank Dell ran like a 4.49 or something ridiculous.
Plays fast.
Yes.
Plays fast. Jacksonville Jaguars up on the clock at pick 56. They got Brian Branch at 24 in the first round. I think they could go D-line. There's some value there. I think Luke Musgrave could be a good tight end option here. They bring back Evan Ingram for 1 year, but even just replacing Luke Farrell as the backup, Musgrave, and then taking over next year, maybe at tight end, could be an option. Mm-hmm. Julie Tuiapoloto, BJ Ojolari at edge, available here to add more depth there. My guy Nick Herbig. The other name I'll throw out there is Matthew Bergeron from Syracuse. Ultimately, I think he might be a better guard than a tackle, but he could compete at right tackle where they have Walker Little and Josh Wells. I think Bergeron could be a good fit here for the Jags.
Sure. Where Brian Branch for them is playing what?
So they have Andre Sisco and Rayshon Jenkins at safety.
Yep.
Trey Herndon in the slot. I think Brian Branch potentially takes over for Herndon in the slot. Mm-hmm. Probably play some free safety snaps here and there. He's just moving around.
Lets them keep Darius Williams out on the
Darius
perimeter.
Williams, Tyson Campbell are both going to be on the outside. You could use some depth there at outside corner. But I think Brian Branch just gives all sorts of versatility there.
Yep.
You might want to get, Keely Ringo, another outside corner type, Tyreek Stevenson, who you hate. I don't hate adding another outside corner at this point, but I think a guy like Bergeron competes right away. Musgrave at tight end.
Yep.
There's a lot of options here.
I think linebacker is value, but they're not going to give up on the combination of Devin Lloyd and Chad Muma, who were both rookies last year.
And Olakun, who they just
who they obviously
paid.
Yeah. And I think he's a solid player for them, but it would be the Devin Lloyd, Chad Muma combination that you would look to upgrade. I don't think they're going to do that after a year, so that's probably off the table.
Could use an interior pass rusher, but that doesn't exist.
Right, of whom there are any.
There are none. So, where do you want to go there? I feel like the Jags have more intriguing options here in round 2 than they did in round 1, where we just kind of gave them best player.
They're certainly intriguing. I'm not sure I don't love it.
Yeah.
Musgrave makes a lot of sense. Like
I don't love Musgrave either. I know people do, and he's the next.
I think he's solid. Like he's definitely got the athleticism to become a pretty big player at the next level, and they already have one under a short-term contract. So that as a long-term play, that makes a lot of sense.
All right, Luke Musgrave, Oregon State tight end, going to go to the Jags here at pick 56. Puts the Giants up on the clock at 57. They got Zay right in the first round.
They did.
Zay Flowers in the first round.
So they didn't get John Michael Schmitz.
They did not.
For the first time in a while.
It would have been better if Whippler was still available. Joe Tippmann still available if you just want to get a starting center and fill a direct need here at pick 57. This could be the play for the Giants.
Yeah, it's certainly a problem spot for them at the moment. It's an area they could definitely
defensive line depth, as always. Do they want a Bergeron to compete at tackle? And maybe play guard?
I don't think they're going to be competing at tackle. I think they're going to give Evan Neal another year. Evan Neal was
I forget. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Was not good.
My apologies. Forgetting about Neal. I'm thinking more guard here for Bergeron.
Yeah,
but that's my projection.
Who was it that was reminding me of Evan Neal when I watched the tackles? Somebody who's Evan Neal's problem year 1 was he's obviously got all the athletic tools in the world, but he is incredibly easy for defensive lineman, both in the run game and as a pass rusher, to just shed his block. Like when he gets hold of you, that's not the end of it. He's immediately gotten rid of. Darnell Wright was reminding me of that. Like it's very, very easy.
I was going to say, was it Wright?
To get rid of Darnell Wright's block, even in terms of pass protection. And that was definitely Evan Neal's problem year 1, where he gave up a ton of pressure. What did he give up?
I'm reading all your notes right now.
Evan Neal, 39 total pressures, 7 sacks, and let's remember he didn't play all the year, so he missed 4 games. That was problematic. Darnell Wright reminded me a lot of that. But because he's got the athleticism, the size, all that kind of stuff, they're going to give him another year. It took Andrew Thomas a while to get going, albeit for different reasons. So I don't think they're bringing in a competition.
For 1 second, I forgot that they have Evan Neal and Andrew Thomas. Apologies. I forgot for a second. I'm sorry.
It's all right. It's fine.
Joe Tippmann.
Okay.
Come in and start at center, right?
Sure.
Isn't that what they want?
Yeah. I mean, corner is a need for them as well. I would like Adoree Jackson is fine. They added Amani Oruwariye, Cordell Flott. Like they don't, Darnay Holmes in the slot. Like this is a cornerback room that could definitely use upgrading.
Jarrett Patterson from Notre Dame and then Oluwatimi from Michigan. Other potential, Ricky Stromberg. Those are the centers that might be available on day 3. Do we risk that? Or do we roll Ben Bredesen as the starting center?
There's always that.
For the Giants. So my question is, do you want to go corner? Do we trust our edge rushers? Probably not.
I mean, the Giants need some work. Like this was, there's a reason they were talked about as the most overachieving team last year. There's a lot of problems on this roster.
All right, so corner, edge depth, starting center.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to do? Does Chad have an idea here?
I mean, look, I don't Tyreek Stevenson is the top-ranked guy on the board. I don't like him, but convince me otherwise.
He's fast, good straight line guy.
Good straight line guy, huh?
Yeah, he's a good straight line guy. Where do we have him?
There's a model like him.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah?
I mean, I like Darius Rush better.
You like Darius Rush?
I would take Darius Rush. What would the model do here? Probably Darius Rush, South Carolina corner.
Okay.
A lot of the NFL likes him better than we do,
Darius Rush?
including my numbers. Let's go Darius Rush.
And Jim Nagy, when he was on the podcast.
Yeah, let's go Darius Rush at 57 here for the Giants. We'll wait on center, and we're filling value wide receiver cornerback spots here from the Giants. Darius Rush going 57 here to the New York Giants. Cowboys are up on the clock.
They got Michael Mayer in the first round, right?
Got Michael Mayer. Still have running backs available here. Zach Charbonnet's here. Could use interior defensive line as always. Are they an Ika team? Too early for him. Linebacker depth for Dallas.
They re-signed Leighton Vander Esch, right?
Yep.
But yes, outside of Leighton Vander Esch, there's not a whole lot to work with at the linebacker level.
Do you get Drew Sanders to be a little Micah Parsons understudy?
Micah Parsons understudy.
Drew Sanders he's a good pass rushing linebacker. If he had stayed at Alabama, I think he probably develops into a decent edge rusher there. I don't think he's a second round pick as an edge rusher or anything like that. But Dan Quinn has tapped into all that versatility on the defensive line.
Sure, gives you the flexibility. They did some work in free agency. They brought in Stephon Gilmore. Obviously, they expect Michael Gallup to be better a year removed from that injury. They added Brandon Cooks as well. Like, they've done some work.
They've done some work at those need spots, receiver and corner. Those, if we were mock drafting about a month ago, or just before free agency, those would have been pretty key need spots. Mm-hmm. Slot corner, you're competing Jordan Lewis and Deron Bland.
Yep.
Probably saw like they could. Clark Phillips is probably a little redundant to them.
Bland in particular, had some really big plays last year. I imagine they want to give him the chance to really nail that down. Like, you could future-proof corner, like Stephon Gilmore's successor down the line, but I don't think you're going to go chasing that. So, yeah, it's probably front seven somewhere.
All right, so we want to go Drew Sanders?
Yeah, I like that.
Arkansas linebacker. He's a young linebacker and got some pass rush ability there for Dallas. Mm-hmm. Bills at pick 59. They went Darnell Wright. We had Darnell Wright falling in our mock draft here, so he's coming in to compete at right tackle. Mm-hmm. Bills could always add some more edge depth. We've talked about that a lot. You have Von Miller, you have Gregory Rousseau, you have A.J. Epinesa, but that fell apart when Von Miller got hurt last year.
It did. Yeah, it fell apart hard. Those guys did not play well without Von Miller, who is back, to be fair. Like, it's not like, he's left.
He is back. They went corner last year, and they've got some decent depth there, but you could always
Bills fans
use
hate
more.
Giving them a corner.
So then there's linebacker as well.
Yes.
Dan Henley, very fast.
Who they lost? So they lost Tremaine Edmonds.
Lost Tremaine Edmonds.
Matt Milano still there, but do you want the guy next to Matt Milano? Do you want your new Tremaine Edmonds?
Could be Henley. He's a former receiver. He's like Trenton Simpson too. He's a lot lower on our board right now. So the other linebackers that are potentially available, Simpson on the old consensus board, I don't know if this has been updated, is 44. We have him a lot lower. Henley's at 68, but we have Henley higher. Both of those guys are really fast and not great at playing linebacker. But developmental. Those are the types of guys that develop. And
sounds a lot like
Henley's a young line. They're both young linebackers for different reasons. Henley because he was a receiver. Simpson because he just hasn't played a ton for Clemson. But they're intriguing developmental linebacker options.
Sounds like the first couple of years of Tremaine Edmonds' career.
Sounds a lot like that.
Trenton Simpson on Arif Hassan's big board is 29, the number one linebacker, remember?
Yeah. What about Simpson here?
Sure.
That makes a lot of sense if he falls to 59, in part because we forgot about him because we ranked him a lot lower. The departing Mike Renner did not love him.
Departing. The late.
The late Mike Renner.
All right.
Trenton Simpson going to the Buffalo Bills. Sorry if the energy level's a little bit low on this. We usually keep up the energy level. It's tough. We're trying to... It's easier in the first round where we have everything somewhat memorized. Who are all the options with this? There's a lot more moving parts.
Cincinnati. They had DeJuan Jones with their first-round pick. Right tackle, comes in, gives them the hysterically largest tackle pairing that must have ever existed, right? There's no way there was a bigger one ever. Orlando Brown and DeJuan Jones. So tackles locked down. What do they want?
Okay, so tackles locked down. I think somewhere on the defensive side of the ball here, I think we need to future-proof corner and edge for the Bengals.
Okay.
If there was a tight end available, I think there's other tight ends available later. I think it's corner or edge. So is it
it's one of the beige players, or
Tui Apolotu, B.J. Ojolari, I love Nick Herbig, Isaiah Foskey, Derek Hall. Those are the edges. The corners, it's all the guys you don't really like at both positions.
pretty much
Tyreek Stevenson, Keely Ringo.
I don't hate Keely Ringo. I mean, there's some stuff to work there with. There are people that have him in the first round, which I think is a little nuts. But at pick 60, I think that's good value.
I'd be okay with that.
The slot guys are all available, but that's the one spot where they are really good with Mike Hilton.
With Mike Hilton. Why don't we get Keely Ringo? Second year in a row, you get an athletic,
or it's picking one of your
big corner.
Yeah, or it's picking one of the beige defensive linemen. Which, look, I mean, given the world we're in, there's a perfectly reasonable chance that one of the beige defensive linemen ends up being a good player in the NFL. So I'm perfectly prepared to take that risk if you want to make the case.
So the data likes Tui Apolotu.
You're going to need to learn how to say his name.
Is that right?
No. It's actually one of the few names.
I added an extra syllable.
You did, yeah. It's one of those few names that's actually pronounced exactly as it's spelled. You're just doing that thing
Tui Apolotu.
Yeah, where your brain takes all the letters and just it doesn't matter what order.
It's like when I try to say dynamism and I want to say dynamicism.
Right. Mm-hmm. So
you say it.
Tui Apolotu?
Tui Apolotu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's him.
Tuli.
Right. Or B.J. Ojolari.
My data likes him the best. Likes Ojolari the worst.
Yeah, I don't.
And likes Derek Hall and Isaiah Foskey in the middle.
Right. Those are the next.
I can convince myself that Derek Hall and Isaiah Foskey are the developmental future edges that I would want. Like that they have the traits to be good in year 3 more than
I can't.
Some of the other guys. I mean, Hall's workout numbers are incredible. Size.
I would be looking at the next group of guys if I was convincing myself of that, like Isaiah McGuire or
Zach Harrison.
Yeah, or Byron Young. Like Byron Young, okay, his age is a bit concerning, but like his athleticism on tape is insane. He just doesn't have any idea what he's doing with his pass rush.
I don't want to force a safety pick here either. Right? Just because they lost their safeties?
No, I mean, I
don't want to force a safety pick.
I think Keely Ringo is probably the best value available at this point.
A lot of people like Sidney Brown from Illinois.
Yeah.
But we don't. Are the Bengals going to end up doing that because they just need? I didn't want to bring up safety.
At all.
I hate the value here. Should just kept Von Bell. All right, let's go.
Well, they got Nick Scott. They got Daxton Hill. Like, they're not,
Yeah, I know.
Michael Thomas is there. The other.
All right, let's go Keely Ringo. Keely Ringo for the Bengals here.
Okay. Michael Thomas, the special teams ace, who can also, play safety if they need him to.
Bears are back up on the clock at pick 61. They just got Cody Mock about 9 picks ago.
And Jalen Carter,
And Jalen Carter back at pick
That's a pretty good haul by
9. Are they going to go back to the defensive line here? You were so mad at them in free agency. I said, don't worry. In the draft, all sorts of beige edge defenders that they can get.
You're a pick of the beige.
Pick Tui Apolotu.
Good. Well, there
How's that?
You got it.
We can get Tuli here.
Yeah, you got to think about it, but you got it.
Do they want to go running back?
Running back.
Zach Charbonnet. To go with Justin Fields in the backfield.
Yeah. I don't love running back for them as a pick. I mean, I think they're going to get one at some point, but probably later. I think
we didn't get any offensive line help yet, right?
We did.
We got Mock. I'm sorry. Yeah, my apologies.
But they got Khalil Herbert. They've got Deontay Foreman. I think they're okay at running back. Like, they'll add one in the draft, but I wouldn't.
Let's grab our favorite defensive lineman.
That's what I'm saying. Let's get your edge.
Tuli
Who's
Apolotu.
your project? Tuli? You want to go beige?
I think he's the best. I think he's the best option.
I think he probably is too. But if it was me personally, I'd skip right over the beige and go to something fun. But look, I mean, take Tui Apolotu.
There's nothing fun enough that we're going to put them in the back end of the second round.
I mean, look. If I was GM,
Andre Carter or Isaiah McGuire, we're not putting them in the second round.
If I was GM, I'd make some crazy picks.
You would, huh? Let's go Tuli.
I'd do what the Patriots do.
This is right where he goes on the consensus board. We have him lower than Derek Hall and Isaiah Foskey on the consensus board, but
nobody beige is on my draft board.
Did we forget anybody?
I strip out beige from my draft board.
Just stop it.
That's what I do.
Don't overuse the term.
It's an
Start
important
pissing
term.
people off.
Look, beige is there's a space for beige, you know? Every house in America gets painted beige when they try and sell it. There's a reason it exists.
I'm just staring at my board right now.
I just wouldn't want it. Pick number 62.
Yeah,
I already did it. I
what
already
I did.
clicked
Thule.
the button. It's Tuli Palazzolo. He's done. It's in.
Thule going to the Bears. Now the Eagles are on the clock at 62. What did we get for them at 10? Peter
they got-
Skoronski at 10.
Yes.
Brian Bresee at 30. Trenches. 'Cause that's what they do.
Classic Eagles.
Would they go running back now?
That would be interesting. So a lot of people obviously are putting Bijan Robinson into the Eagles at 10. I think there's a case for that, even if you wouldn't necessarily do it.
Nobody's expecting Howie to do that. He doesn't value running backs and linebackers.
But all the reasons you would say that exists would be intriguing to take a guy like Zach Charbonnet at pick number 62. Like, that's the counter argument, right? Why would you draft Bijan at 10 when you can come back at 62, having gotten 2 impact players for the trenches, and get Zach Charbonnet at the bottom of the second round?
I'll tell you who's really intriguing here. Well, the position that's intriguing is receiver. Rashee Rice, Marvin Mims. 2 names I'm going to throw out there.
Oh, Rashee Rice is a terrifying prospect.
He's so terrifying, but I feel like in my mind's eye, I lean into the good parts of Rashee Rice.
I want
the
to
good
love,
feels.
I want to love that guy, and I can't because it's just scary.
They'll get the most out of him.
So Trevor Sikkema on the Stock Exchange podcast with Connor Rogers, he had the best explanation I've yet heard for what the hell is happening with Rashee Rice's tape. So SMU wide receiver, tested not great, but like clearly has the ability to be a high-end player. And there's some really good numbers. Like, he averaged 3 yards per route run last season. That's a really high figure. He was decent in contested catches. Like, there's a lot of numbers that say you really want Rashee Rice. He's got all those George Pickens plays where he just buries a corner in the run game for fun, because they're not preparing for it. He broke double-digit tackles in each of the last 3 years. Like, there's a lot of reasons to like Rashee Rice's tape. He looked big, and then he shows up and measures, and he's not. He's like 6 foot, and he's not 220 pounds. He's just over 200 pounds.
It's okay. That's okay.
So there's a lot of plays where it feels like he should be just destroying people physically and doesn't. And Trevor Sikkema's sort of speculation, or his argument, his theory, is Rashee Rice essentially plays like his listed size. Like, he plays like he's 6'2", 220, and then isn't, and consequently that gets him into trouble. So he sort of wants to play the game like he's physically way more imposing than he actually is, and what that actually results in is him just getting stuck on contact the whole time. And there's a ton of these plays where he blows by a guy off the line and then just stops going past him and almost seems to voluntarily reinitiate the contact, and you end up with a ton of his plays being contested catches that shouldn't be. I think that's a good explanation for how it is. But the problem is, what Trevor was essentially suggesting is, if you're going to get the good version of Rashee Rice at the next level, this theoretical upside potential ceiling that I think a lot of people sort of collectively agree is there, he needs a fundamental mental switch in what he actually is. You need him to realize, hey, you're not 6'3", 220 pounds. You need to actually realize that you're the same size as a Stephon Diggs and change the way you play the game.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're not going to function.
Because Rice looks slow and looks like he just wants contact. He wants to play big, right? It does. You do see that.
Yeah. So if he's not going to come to that realization, you're going to get an underwhelming receiver.
Our friend Josh Norris, I think, suggested Marvin Mims. He's the guy, the Oklahoma receiver. Data loves him, first of all. Everyone else who's doing anything analytical,
yes,
Marvin Mims shows up at the top of lists. When you look at his actual, so I was talking to former PFFer Scott Barrett in the fantasy community, and he's like, all my numbers say Marvin Mims is great, and I'm like, hey, mine do too. However,
everybody's does, yeah,
right. However, when I watched his 50+ yard touchdowns, they have nothing to do with him.
Right.
They are literally him just running through the defense, blown coverages or whatever. So that skews the numbers. However, there's deep speed.
Yep.
Ball skills,
yep,
feel for the game. I love Marvin Mims. I think, and again, I'm just name dropping everybody that we know, but these online conversations, Josh Norris was like, hey, Mims would be an awesome 3 to Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown to be just a better version of Quez Watkins. Quez Watkins in that offense who will catch the ball. I'm intrigued by that for the Eagles here at 62.
Marvin Mims is starting to become that player in the draft that you get every now and again that everybody just agrees is better than where he'll be drafted. You get that every now and again where it's like, this guy should be a round or 2 higher than he ends up going. Everybody knows it. Everybody's been saying it all the way through the process. And then immediately it ends up getting borne out exactly that way. Like he goes a round or 2 lower than people were saying he should and is just from day one a better player than that. And it's like, well, what if we all came to that realization, why did he still get drafted there? Mims is that guy where, as you say, all the numbers love him. All of the numbers. And sure, some of it is skewed by the offense. It's not all him. But a lot of people that look at his tape love him as well. And it's like, why are we keeping him down this far if he's that good? Like, if everybody likes him that much, why did we not just put him 5 spots higher?
I'll tell you this, if the Eagles don't take him at 62, Chiefs take him at 63, potentially.
And I, by the way, moved him. He was another guy that moved in my rankings when I redid them.
On the rewatch.
Yeah. Now, didn't skyrocket, but he's higher than he was.
A couple names here for the Eagles. I would say Mims is potential. Yep. Matthew Bergeron from Syracuse. They don't need a tackle, but again, I like Bergeron as a guard. They like to future-proof the roster. Lane Johnson's getting older. Bergeron could be a developmental tackle, add depth on the line. If they did want to force a safety, just because they have Terrell Edmonds coming in, Reed Blankenship, Justin Evans, they don't Kayvon Wallace. It's not the deepest safety group. It could be Sidney Brown.
Are you advocating the addition of offensive line even with Skoronski?
Oh, I forgot Skoronski a million times. I'm sorry. I forgot where he did Skoronski.
So no.
I want Mims.
Okay, Mims.
Let's do Marvin Mims. Where's he on our board? Do I have to keep scrolling?
They would be another interesting case. But I've already hit Marvin Mims. He's in, so it's done. But they would be another team that's intriguing for these like hybrid slot guys. So, another potential option for Antonio Johnson, the Texas A&M slot/safety.
Yeah.
Or one of the pure slot guys, Clark Phillips from Utah, Trey Tomlinson. That's what we're going with now. TCU
Trey, yeah.
cornerback.
They do have Avonte Maddox, Eagles fans like to remind us.
Sure, which is fine, but
depth.
If you're a Super Bowl team, if you want to win the Super Bowl, you want to be as good at every spot as you can. So anyway, I'm just saying that given what they lost in Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, like they're a team that has space for that. They could also use a linebacker, by the way.
Chiefs are up at pick 31. Antoine Harrison was their pick. I'm sorry. Antoine Harrison was the pick at pick 31 for the Chiefs. Now they're picking at, 63.
Yes.
That's the last pick of the second round.
Correct.
So, Chiefs got their tackle. Do they go receiver? Do they go edge again? It seems like edge depth is always something that the Chiefs are looking for.
Sure.
Frank Clark is out. Charles Omenihu is in. My Tyree Wilson comp. They have a whole bunch of multi-gap players.
They do.
In Kansas City. Are they an Isaiah Foskey type of team here? What are we looking at here for the Chiefs?
Any pick along the defensive line for them, I think, is a decent one. Charles Omenihu should be good. George Karlaftis will get pressure, but didn't look in year one like he's going to get
better. He'll be better in year 2.
Yeah, he needs to be because he didn't really look like he could generate much of it by himself. Like he was a cleanup type of pressure guy.
What type of receiver is Kansas City looking for here? A year ago we see them lose Tyreek Hill, and then it's just, hey, Marquez Valdes-Scantling's the deep threat. Juju Smith-Schuster's working the underneath. You still have Sky Moore over there. Justin Watson made some plays, and they brought in Kadarius Toney. Are they good at receiver, or do they want to bring in an outside one-on-one type like a Rashee Rice to just have another type?
They've got a ton of guys that are either speedsters, so speedsters, gadget players, or a combination of both. Like Valdes-Scantling is the speedster. Immer Smith-Marset is a gadget player. John Ross is a speedster. Kadarius Toney is like a mix of the two. Like they've got a lot of that. I think they would like
Justin Ross.
No, John Ross as well. They also
have
Justin
John
Ross.
Oh.
Justin Ross, who for the second year in a row.
John Ross going to break out here.
Of course, the second year in a row in the offseason, Mahomes has been like talking up Justin Ross relentlessly. Remember, Justin Ross is a guy who was really well touted at Clemson, had injuries that that people were like, this might be career ending. And then the Chiefs pick him up, and it's like as soon as the Chiefs pick up any receiver, it's like, think of what this could be, blah. And they talked him up quite a bit, even though he was going to miss time. It's happening again. I mean, they're talking up Justin Ross, so maybe there's something there that, we're not anticipating. I think they would like a guy they can rely on getting a large volume of targets, whatever that looks like. Now,
Chad is suggesting Michael Wilson.
Yeah, obviously Travis Kelce is there, but I think they would like somebody that they think could get a ton of targets. So Michael Wilson, if he stays healthy, I think could definitely be that guy. The A.T. Perry from Wake Forest has that kind of possession type receiver thing to him. I think he could be an option for them. If you want a force wide receiver, those are the kind of spots I would look. I don't think they would necessarily look for, a Tyler Scott type of speed. Also, they'd be a fascinating team. This is high, but
Tyler Scott land over here. Did I miss him? He's missing from my board. No, he's just
model's rough.
No, he's just lower.
They'd be a fascinating team to take the swing and halt the slide of Keyshawn Butte, the LSU wide receiver.
Dude, he might go undrafted, man. I don't know.
Well, he could go anywhere. Like, he could be literally essentially any spot from like the second round on. He could go undrafted.
There's so many,
because it looks like he doesn't care and nothing was good from that point on. But if you just like looked at the tape and were like, what can this guy be if we get him together?
I mean, it's a Kadarius Toney like swing, right? I mean, the payoff of Butte could be incredible.
So for unlike a lot of teams,
I wouldn't do it here.
A lot of teams, I think, wouldn't even have the conversation. He's off the board. He's not even in the conversation. For a team like Kansas City, I mean, we could bring him in with Patrick Mahomes, with everybody we've already got in here. Like, we could get this guy.
All right, look, we've listed a lot of wide receivers. I think they can get Tyler Scott's speed or A.T. Perry's size or Rashee Rice's ball skills. They can get those guys later. Michael Wilson. They can get Butte. They can get those guys later. So now I'm leading edge here.
All right.
For the Chiefs. What do you think? B.J. Ojulari, Isaiah Foskey, Derek Hall. What about Hall? Developmental. I think he's the best developmental athlete.
I mean, he should at least win with power consistently, because that's all he has. But he'll do that.
Let's grab Hall. Over Foskey, over Ojulari. Is that okay?
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
Derek Hall. Going to the Chiefs at pick 63. I'm going to click this and it's going to be done.
There he is. I had to scroll a bit.
And my round 2 mock draft is over. It's the best mock we've ever done.
So now we got to go to our third round guys, the pick. Denver, 67. So 3 picks from here. Chicago, Houston, and Arizona are up at the top of the third round, and then Denver's first pick is there, number 67. They have 68 as well, so they got back-to-back picks.
So Denver at 67?
And 68.
So we're back-to-back picks for the Broncos.
It appears that way.
Let's study up on the Broncos a little bit more here.
Now, this is tricky because our draft...
What do we have left?
Well, that's the thing. Our draft ended, right? And I wasn't keeping pace on my third round one, so some of the players that it thinks are on the board are not, in fact, because I didn't, that would have been a nightmare to do two consecutive drafts.
Poorly done.
I didn't do it because I would have needed to do it from the outset in the first round, and I just didn't. Denver, what do they need?
Damari Mathis is slated, year 2 player, to start at corner opposite Patrick Surtain. There could be depth added there.
They've got K'Wan Williams.
Tyreek Stevenson still on the board?
He is. They've
for
got
us?
K'Wan Williams in the slot. I would also be intrigued by Trey Tomlinson for that, he might be able to play outside.
Could be able to play outside.
He did play outside in college. He's one of these guys that's just he's one of the best slot corners in the draft. But he did play outside in college and did get it done. And there's a lot of kind of Antoine Winfield to his play. Now he's a lot smaller than Antoine Winfield was, and Antoine Winfield wasn't big. But he's got that scrap, the fight to be able to get it done on the outside, even if he might be a better slot inside. And that was basically the story with Antoine Winfield, right? They moved him in to the slot eventually, but he was a good outside corner. So I'd like Trey Tomlinson.
Yeah, I don't know about that right now.
Why not?
I agree. No, if I was trusting the numbers.
Trust the numbers.
I would take him.
And your own eyes.
Yeah, we could do that.
Well, that's one of my give me that for one of the two. So 67.
Trey Hodges Tomlinson.
Trey
I'm not putting
Tomlinson.
it anywhere, right? We just know where to put it.
No, I mean, I've just added it on the thing. So now you got your second one.
The other thing I would look at, so do they want, they've been trying to trade all their receivers. Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, they've been on the trading block. Mm-hmm. What does another receiver look like for them? Do they want all the guys we've been mentioning? Rashee Rice, A.T. Perry, Tyler Scott, deep threat. My guy Parker Washington, maybe not at this point, but I like him quite a bit. Jaden Reed, Michael Wilson. I think they can grab one of those guys.
They could.
Tim Patrick's coming back. And then just overall defensive line depth. They need a lot of it.
Yeah, I mean, they could grab one of the streaks of beige.
B.J. Ojolari?
Sure.
Great.
I think that's value there.
Denver, B.J. Ojolari.
Yep.
And Trey Tomlinson.
All right, what's up next? Cleveland, 74.
They don't pick till 74?
Correct.
So do they still have more work to do at defensive tackle, even with Dalvin Tomlinson in there? Or is that done?
I mean, I don't think it's necessarily done, but it's not a great draft for that.
Let's see. Did we pick Bergeron yet?
We did not, right? Now, unfortunately, I have no way of knowing that because
Jedrick Wills they could let walk at some point in the future.
Yeah.
And have Bergeron as a backup that eventually takes over. That could be a cheap tackle replacement, given the way the board has fallen right now. They've done some good work at receiver.
We have not selected Bergeron yet.
It's Dalvin Tomlinson, Jordan Elliott, Maurice Hurst, Perry and Winfrey. I mean, they've added bodies at defensive tackle. Linebacker could still use some help with JOK and next to JOK and Anthony Walker. Mm-hmm. What do we have for linebacker options here? According to the board, Dan Henley, I think, is still on the board.
Yes, he is. Potentially
Henley,
the best coverage linebacker in the draft.
Could add some speed. They look pretty good at corner. They look pretty good at safety. So I'm between Henley and Bergeron as value picks here for the Browns.
Is Drew Sanders? Oh no, Drew Sanders.
We took Sanders. Yep, he went to Dallas, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And then Siaki Ika, if you do want to just have another
body,
big 30-pound body there. Yeah. Kobe Turner would be the sleeper you grab later.
Right.
Out of Wake Forest. All right, what do you want to do?
I don't know. Make a
I'm
call.
intrigued by Bergeron, and I'm intrigued by, even though I don't love him,
Bergeron, I think at this point is really good value. Top of the third round, I think that's a steal. Let's do that.
Matthew Bergeron,
yeah.
Syracuse tackle, late bloomer type that I think could play guard or developmental tackle.
Cleveland also pick at number 98, the ass end of the third round.
I don't know who's available then.
It's tough.
More receiver depth. It's another place they've added a ton of bodies over the last couple of years. Amari Cooper, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Elijah Moore comes in from trade. Mm-hmm. They signed Marquise Goodwin, and last year they drafted David Bell.
Yeah.
So there might not be much of a fit for another. Like they're bringing in another.
Yeah, I mean they've done a
player to just compete.
They've done a reasonable job of sort of patching up some of the holes that we're developing on this roster. Like there's nowhere that you look at and you say, "Hey, this is an obvious spot that we need a starter," with the exception of that interior defensive line, where Jordan Elliott is still potentially a starter. Maurice Hurst comes into, but like that 3-tech, the one position that isn't great in this draft.
I'll tell you who I would take at that point is Ivan Pace from Cincinnati, the linebacker. The consensus board as of last week had him at 149.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying.
You want to draft him at 98?
Yeah, I would.
All right, let's do it.
Dude's really good.
Ivan Pace.
Done. So now you have a linebacker and a developmental tackle for the Browns. That's where their roster is.
San Francisco, to round out the third round with 3 picks and 4, 99, 101, and 102.
How do we know who's available?
We're going to have to guess. It's going to be some educated guesswork involved here.
There's no tackle there. So they could be Blake Freeland, the tackle from BYU.
Yeah.
The numbers like him.
Uh-huh.
I think he's a really good run blocker. I think he's a really good outside zone run blocker.
And his athleticism was off the charts.
And it shows up on the field. Like he moves incredibly well at 6'8".
Yes.
The guy weighs 305.
Yeah.
And it looks like it. So I don't want him stepping into play this year. But as a developmental tackle, I think he's the guy. And
didn't give up a single sack last season.
Yeah, I mean
gave up 7 pressures.
His numbers in pass protection were good, but he still gets bullied.
Right, back-to-back years.
Senior Bowl, he got beat up.
Yeah, back-to-back years with a 90-plus PFF pass blocking grade. But that BYU offense is going to help that.
So he's the one where the numbers are saying yes, but my heart is saying no. As like a, hey, he's a start. But as in the third round, developmental
if
prospect.
You're going to bet on athleticism and good data, that seems like a pretty good time to do it.
So I think that's a good idea.
That's one of your picks. Let's do that.
So Blake Freeland,
done.
Tackle from BYU. I want to future-proof the receiver room.
Okay.
In San Francisco, I think Brandon Ayuk is going to be tough to hold on to. So is this where we get the Rashee Rices of the world? Parker Washington would be really fascinating in this offense. Reminded me of Randall Cobb. So in this, the way he works the middle of the field.
In this particular one, Rashee Rice is gone.
Okay.
A.T. Perry is still there. Jaden Reed from Michigan State is still there. Keyshawn Butte from LSU is still there. Parker Washington is still there. Xavier Hutchinson.
Give me Washington or Hutchinson, man. I like those guys.
Go Parker Washington, your guy.
Let's do it. Parker Washington to the Niners.
Last pick.
And then where else could we look?
This is the very last pick of the third round. Pick
is
number
there,
102.
Is there Is there corner? Come on, Mike. Is there corner depth here?
Corey Trice is available, the Purdue corner that put up some pretty crazy workout numbers.
Garrett Williams from Syracuse
is not available.
Okay.
Mekhi Blackman, though, is USC corner, who I love.
I do too. He's just consensus board has him in the 200s.
Yeah.
6th round right now.
Even we still only have him at like.
Yeah, I would have him. I mean, I would take him as high as the 4th, probably.
I think he's good. Your guy, Mekhi Garner, is there.
Kobe Turner still on there?
No.
I would love Kobe Turner. The couple defensive. So if you want some defensive tackle help, they brought in Javon Hargrave.
Whoa. Kobe Turner. I was still looking at the corners. Yes, he is.
I know they already brought in Javon Hargrave. Eric Armstead's an inside-outside type of guy. Javon Kinlaw, whatever. Kobe Turner, Moro Ohomo from Texas, 2 guys that I really like in this range.
Kobe Turner has got some pretty elite PFF profile grade-wise in terms of 3 straight years with an overall grade of 88.1 or better. 2 of them were above 90. Last season, elite as a pass rusher and a run defender. Pass rush win rate was extremely high, has decent amount of pressure. I think that's a good pick at this spot.
Let's do it. Kobe Turner
from Wake Forest.
From Wake Forest. He did transfer in, played at lower levels before. Where was he before? Forget offhand. Kobe Turner. I like it. Production model.
So that gave the Cleveland Browns Marvin Mims at pick number 74, Ivan Pace Jr. at pick number 98.
No, Marvin Mims. Who?
Didn't we? Oh, no, sorry. I inserted him because I just needed a body. Who did we actually give them?
To the Browns?
Yeah.
To who?
Who was the first Browns pick we gave him?
Bergeron.
Okay, I'm going to need to remember who I just installed randomly.
This is the best podcast we've ever done.
Denver got Trey Tomlinson with their first pick, and who was their second one?
Denver?
Yeah.
How am I supposed to remember all this stuff?
Because I just had to put a body in.
I thought you were keeping track.
I was, but the bodies were gone.
Denver, we gave B.J. Ojolari.
There you go, and Trey Tomlinson.
And then
the 49ers actually got the players that I clicked here. So they got Blake Freeland, the tackle from BYU, at number 99. B+, the grade gave it.
They like it, yeah.
Then Parker Washington, the wide receiver from Penn State.
I gave that a C-.
An F.
Great, but I like him.
At number 101. And then Kobe Turner, interior defensive lineman from Wake Forest, C+, at number 102.
Dude, Kyle Shanahan would work wonders with Parker Washington.
We're done.
That's it. We just helped every team.
Every team.
So everybody solved.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody solved. Well, that's it, man. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. If you rewind hours ago, we zipped through the first round and really wanted to focus on the second round. Appreciate everybody for coming in. Why don't you hit that thumbs up on your way out? And then a quick reminder for what's happening this week. Chris Collinsworth in tomorrow as we go back and do a first-round mock draft. Chris will certainly have some different takes, some different thoughts. So we'll get Chris's take on the first round. And then Thursday night, we are live. I think it'll be right around 7:45 Eastern Time, live right here on the YouTube channel. Sam and I will be there. Trevor Sikkema, Chris Collinsworth, live on YouTube. Hit the thumbs up on your way out, but especially hit the subscribe and the bell so that you know when we're live Thursday night. And then Friday for the 5-6 hours, whatever, we'll be live all day. Friday, all evening, Friday night. And then Saturday, live all day for rounds 4 through 7. And then this podcast, PFF NFL podcast, live Thursday night right after round 1.
Yeah, post-round 1 reaction. And then after the post-round 1 reaction, then I have to write an article that goes up on the website.
Are you going to be writing an article at 2 in the morning?
Yeah, so it'll be
Why don't you just pre-write it right now?
Some stupid hour of the morning.
We'll let you write it live
during the show.
During round one. You can start typing away.
No, like during the podcast.
During the podcast.
You can just take care of the next 5 minutes. I'll take it.
I'll be ready to go, man. I'm going to be fired up. It's round one of the draft. A lot of fun. So happy draft week, everybody. We'll see you again tomorrow with the boss, Chris Collinsworth.